Hey, everybody, welcome back. I debated about whether to show this video, but I'm going to show it because it's very funny. And so I've run out into this. People call me a right winger now because I've stayed on the left. I'm a critic of the Democratic Party from the left. I'm a critic of the Republican Party from the left. I'm a critic of Joe Biden and Donald Trump from the left.
That's a right winger.
And I'm for free speech. I'm against censorship. I'm anti-war, and I'm for Medicare for all. And I'm pro-union. And that somehow makes me a right winger now because
extreme right wing.
Extreme because the Democrats are for censorship. The Democrats are they're pro-war. The Democrats are for breaking unions. They did it with the railroad strikes. What else they're against healthcare? They had complete control of government, didn't do a goddamn thing. And now they're actually taking the Medicare and stuff away and tax credits and everything that they gave people during COVID, taking it all away. So anyway, Kyle Kulinski used to talk like me and we used to be on the same, and then something happened. I don't know what. It's a mystery. It's a real mystery.
Whatever it is would turn your hair white if you knew.
But so I think our pal Joe, I think, put this together. I have to double check who put this video together. But I want to play it for you now because this is what people think I did. People think I started saying something I didn't believe for money. I've stayed consistent. It's guys like this, the Democratic apologists, the Cenk Uykers, the MSNBC contracts, the Kyle Kulinskis, those types of people.
I don't think they think that. I think that they know that you didn't, and they're saying that because that's how
right.
It's done.
No, but there's a lot of people who do hear people like that say it and then believe it.
Yeah.
Right. Just go on Facebook. Right.
I don't.
Me neither. My friend made a mistake. We went to dinner and he posted a picture of us at dinner, and boy, did he. He did not know what he got into. But anyway, let's watch this.
The former Soviet Union and other authoritarian dictatorial regimes. We're really talking about.
So can I just stop it? I know I stopped it too quickly. Can I just say that the position I've had always on this show is that I'm not triggered by Donald Trump because he's a game show host. I'm triggered by a system that made people so desperate that they were willing to vote for a guy who was game show host who didn't even appear to want the job in the first place. So I get triggered by the system that is so corrupt that they're beyond the pale for voting for them. They're both criminally against the voter and the worker. And so I don't get triggered by Trump, and Trump's a distraction. So that's what we've said. That's what Kyle used to say. So now he says this.
The former Soviet Union and other authoritarian dictatorial regimes. We're really talking about other people being dictatorial, and Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis. As bad as Biden is, you guys are significantly worse, and it's not even close. The Democrats are just way better. They're just way better. They're a trillion times better than Republicans.
All right, so there's a lot I have to say in response to this. These kinds of criticisms from this guy, I honestly believe that these people usually overstate how bad Trump is, and they understate how bad Biden is. Well, you're more ideologically in agreement with Biden than you are in agreement with Trump. Well, actually, when it comes to the First Step Act, I agree with Trump on that. When it comes to pardoning Alice Johnson, I agree with Trump on that. When it comes to TPP, Trump's against it, Biden's for it. I agree with Trump on that. I agree more with Trump on North Korea than I agree with Biden. I would need to be convinced that Biden would fight for at least one or two of my top 5 issues. Medicare for all, free college, living wage, ending the wars, and UBI. The people who say Trump is a fascist and they think he's like, basically, we can't survive another 4 years of America with him. Yes. The country will survive 4 years with Trump. The country will survive 4 years with Joe Biden. Again, I think they understate how bad Biden is. Why? On so many core issues, he's against us. Me, at least. I can't speak for this guy. Joe Biden pushed for NAFTA. He repeatedly pushed for TPP. He's a supporter of the Iraq War. On all the pivotal issues of his time, he was wrong. So stop overstating how bad Trump is. The country's still going to exist in 4 years. and understating how bad Biden is. Because it's annoying. I just don't agree with the people who are like, he's a fascist, he's a Nazi, the country's not going to exist in 4 years. You're hyperbolic and you're ridiculous.
Oh! You got knocked the fuck
out, man. So remember all those old jokes about blondes being dumb because their hair bleach seeps in through their scalp and into their brain? I think it's time to stop making those jokes. We should stop making those jokes, Kurt, and start researching this very real medical problem.
Yeah. The lighter it gets, the worse it gets.
It's kind of unbelievable. Blonde Kyle does make a fair point, though. For example, if you're a huge AOC fan like I am, you know Democrats are a trillion times better on important issues like sunscreen.
And Kyle's using the good kind.
I'm mostly impressed with how Crystal in this, right?
Yeah.
Because she's a successful working mom who still finds time to homeschool Kyle, which is amazing. A zillion billion times better. Wow, Kyle, that's a lot of time. Yeah, and also Trump is really bad, and then we went to Legoland, and then I got my booster, and then I got ice cream. Gosh, Kyle, it sounds like you had a big boy day today. I see you got your hair colored too. I like turtles.
Kyle turned into the I Like Turtles kid.
He turned into the I Like Turtles kid. I should have put that video in there. Crystal seems to be in the background saying, as if to say, I'm proud of you, sweetie. You worked hard on your speaking assignment and showed a lot of improvement. Okay, time for your bath.
Healthy praise.
I wonder if Crystal approves of his vaping. Do you think she leaves it alone, or does she gently nag him with the WEF style nudges? You know, like does she close his bank account down until he collapses and stops vaping? I can't wait for Kyle to team up with AOC on TikTok and address the important issues of Europe having better quality hair dye than us. Anyway, I don't think I've enjoyed a video more in my entire life than watching that video. It's hard. It's right. It's certainly up there.
It's the transformation is shocking.
It is jarring. It is jarring what a phony that guy turned into, and the people who do that. He resisted Trump derangement syndrome, and then something happened. I don't know what happened. I don't know. Here's what people say: had the nerve to ever say hyperbolic and ridiculous, and then turn himself into that.
He looks like Beach Ken from the Barbie movie.
He had the nerve to say hyperbolic and ridiculous, and then he turns himself into it. Exactly. I didn't realize those two men are the same guy. Wow, what a change! Also, all of those criticisms of Joe predated all that laptop and diary revelations.
That's a great point.
That's before we knew that Joe Biden was corrupt in bed with Hunter's business dealings in Ukraine and China. That's before we knew that, for sure.
Welcome to a Thursday edition of the Nick and CJ Show. I'm one of your hosts. I'm CJ. What's up, Nick?
What's popping, my friends, my family? Welcome back to the Nick and CJ Show. That video was a classic. I sent it to Jimmy, and he said he couldn't wait to cover it on this show. It was, it's one of the most damning clips that you can find. And the professional managerial class, they were making asses of themselves recently. Jacobin has an article that you covered where they are doing their best to defend AOC because the Justice Democrats' money ran dry. And now you have the article that we're going to cover today where they say, don't vote for Dr. Cornel West or you waste your vote. And correct me if I'm wrong, because I read it quickly earlier, but Tom Hartmann wrote that, didn't he?
Nick, I had read that entire article, not knowing that Tom Hartmann wrote it until about 2 hours ago. And I'm like, Tom Hartmann? Because Tom Hartmann is the vein that I got to left politics. Everybody else went through TYT, Jimmy, I didn't do none of that. I went through radio first. So I was listening to Thom Hartmann, and this guy is completely
Trump
not
broke
the
his
person.
brain. Like
Exactly.
If you want to know what I mean when I say Trump derangement syndrome, look up Thom Hartmann. That's literally him. David Pacman, Keith Olbermann.
Yes.
I think those are like three of the best examples of people who used to like sound somewhat progressive, and then this Trump happened, and they said we're going to be straight up deep state Democratic Party propagandists now. And that happened to Kyle, and what Jimmy brought up was funny because that happened when Biden became president, fam. And he reversed on Trump after Trump left office. How does that make sense? So, it makes sense to be at the height of your Trump derangement syndrome, at least when Trump was president, right? You know what I mean? When he was committing genocide in Yemen, when he was trying to overthrow Venezuela, when he was escalating war with China, when he was doing all these things, it makes sense for Kyle to have Trump derangement syndrome, but he was smart enough back then to call out Russiagate. And you saw earlier, he hated how people overstated how bad Trump was and understate how bad people like Joe Biden was. And then you flip when Biden takes office in government and people think that's anything other than corruption. Like people think that's anything other than calculated access journalism. Maybe Kyle's wife, Crystal, gave him the order. You know what I mean? You can't convince me that's a legitimate change. Like we all had legitimate change. I explain my background. You explain your background. We have people on our show explain their background. You can see the logic in the progression, right? There's no logic in the progression that you see the former Bernie Sanders people. And in the last 2 to 3 years, we have seen the Bernie movement openly and unapologetically sell out. Now they are advocating voting against one of their brothers. One of their kin, fam. You guys know that Dr. Cornel West was on the front line of the Bernie campaign. Friends with all these people. He not RBN. They hate RBN. Dr. Cornel West was their brother. Bernie Sanders' good friend. And now they're writing articles about how voting for him is wasting your vote. The most blatant, most telling, I'll pass it to you, CJ, most telling sellout in politics. So like who been a bigger sellout than this? And people wonder why RBN laser focused on this. Why I call these people out, because I was part of this movement at one point when I was part of the Bernie team. When we thought this was actually a political revolution. And you see this old quote from Kyle, the guy who funded Justice Democrats. We wasn't crazy. Like we wasn't following the wrong direction. These people lied to us. They committed political fraud. The Kyle, LC, Bernie Sanders, they said different stuff back then. They switched today. But Kyle, CJ, I know you want to chime in. Go ahead.
Yeah, because I mean, it's a lot there. Even in that video, I would love to have talk to this guy during a stream, or just have 15 minutes with him to ask him questions, literally just about that video. What has happened? What has happened? Because think about it. Think about all the professional managerial class left who we thought was radical at a point, Cenk Uygur. Right? Then all of a sudden, Mehdi Hasan. A lot of people don't forget. Mehdi Hasan used to be a lot further left than he is now. Then when they get that corporate check, Nick, then when they marry into corporate money, because this is my theory on the whole thing, is that your politics, I'm not going to say that. His politics clearly shifted to the right, as did Crystal Ball's politics shifted to the right. Because if you go back and look at her Hill videos, those videos are to the left of what she talks about right now. So you have to ask yourself, why the move to the left? What is the professional managerial class all about?
This is what it's about, CJ.
Positions. This is about jobs, Nick. This is about positions. This is about getting promotions. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I do want to touch upon that article again if we have time. I do want to read a couple of parts.
You covered it, but I didn't get a chance to react it on.
Exactly. I do want to cover it again. So that was my part.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I'll pass it to you, but I have a few parts I clipped out of it as well. So you can finish your thought. But I brought this up because the professional managerial class lost their fucking mind. But go ahead, see, I didn't want to cut you off, but finish your thought.
No, but I mean, just in general, like, and to another point, this is a clear panic, Nick. This is clearly panic setting in. So we see the panic setting in on the establishment, the ruling class establishment about a third party. But what you're seeing as a panic set in is with the Bernie Sanders industrial complex, media complex with them, because they're realizing they don't have the influence they used to have. They're realizing, wait a minute, what the fuck is going on? And now I'm going to pat ourselves on the back, RBN, Jimmy, because if you don't think when they say popular YouTube commentaries, they're talking about us. Our influence. Go ahead, Nick. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna see if I can find this later. Someone sent me this. Some media organization made a list of all these networks, and we was on them, and they're like, they are propaganda network. So we made this list of all these giant, like they were ranking all the media shows, like Russell Brand, Jimmy Dore, MSNBC shows on there, and they were ranking them according to how much they repeat propaganda. Someone sent it to me on my DMs. I may put it up later if I feel like doing a segment on it. But to your point, they are exactly talking about us, because in this article they even reference quote unquote YouTube hosts that have criticism because they're trying to get clicks and views, right? They're talking about Jimmy because obviously he's the biggest one, right?
He's
because
the top one.
That's the one he obviously on front, like the Russell Brands, right? But they definitely know who we are, because there was this TYT guy I just ratioed to death over the Ukraine issue. And I didn't even know he was part of TYT. That someone sent me like, he's a TYT affiliate. And I just casually ratioed this fucking guy. And he went after me because, and he said in his tweet, he said that usually responding to these RBN guys is beneath me. And that's one of the reasons why he got ratioed. I may have to cover that because I didn't plan on covering that.
They're talking about us. They're talking about us, but they don't want people to know they're talking about us, Nick. We are like when you're coming in, when you come in and you're authentically speaking at the tone and using the words and the language of the working class that resonates, there's no getting around that. There's no like having something that's going to combat that. You have something that's fake, that's stimmy, that's pseudo left. We have something that's coming from the left, where you are left because of life experience, not because of theory. So it's a completely different sort of authenticity that we bring that they just can't shut down. And they know if once the door is open, once their audience knows about us, it's a wrap for them. Go ahead.
CJ, check this out. Since this is relevant to our topic of the professional managerial left is in shambles, because look, I didn't even notice this until someone pointed this out to me afterwards. This guy, as seen on TYT in HuffPost. Wow. So this is a TYT guy. And look at his smug, classist attitude towards us. This is how they know who we are, and they hate our existence, CJ, because we are completely delegitimizing them. So listen to this. I don't know who this guy was. Had no idea who he was at all. But look, usually acknowledging LARPers like RBN is beneath me. Acknowledging us is beneath this guy. This guy who worked for HuffPost and TYT, correct? And this is the smug attitude, and this is the only way they can address our argument, by pretending that we some sort of grifters or LARPers. LARPers of what? I'm going to promote this mutual aid I have coming up today. CJ will just had a mutual aid organization last month. I did more for the Bernie campaign than most people did, knocked on countless doors. I'm a founder of 10 Demands. What hoops do you got to jump through to go from LARPer to actual activist? I am a guy who did activism before, plans on doing activism in the future. That means I'm an activist. What part of that is LARPing? But they do that because they trying to delegitimize your status. Because they like, oh man, these RBN niggas are killing us. we got to smear them the same way we smear a Republican. So this is a TYT guy saying, usually acknowledging LARPers like RBN is beneath me, But the correct critique of Biden, because I called out Biden for saying no comment regarding Maui, Hawaii, but he's sending 2 times more money to Ukraine because he's part of the NATO left, so he hates that criticism. That would trigger him. So he said, actually, the real critique, you fucking Putin apologist, the real critique that Fox News will never offer is that he's not doing enough to cut American carbon emissions. So this guy being part of the TYT left, being part of the dumb left, do not realize that the Ukraine war is one of the giant threats to our climate right now. And Joe Biden bombed the Nord Stream pipeline, making him one of the biggest eco-terrorists in human history. Like that, the disaster of the Nord Stream pipeline is going to destroy our environment. But these dumb leftists, like on the TYT network, they don't realize that. So they don't even connect those criticisms. And he said,
what do they say about that, Nick? What do they say about that? Since you kind of know what liberals say, what do they say about the Ukraine war and the Nord Stream pipeline and how it's polluting? And you're calling yourself a climate person. Like, what is their response to that? I ratio these people and they never respond. Like, for real, literally search my account and look how many times I call these people out for that. And they just don't respond. I'll just ratio them and they move on. And I'm going to show you, for example, because it happens in this thread. It happens in this thread. I'm going to go down a little bit earlier. And this guy was a defender of this guy, and look at this guy. This guy is an academic editor. So you guys see how the academics are teaming up against RBN? Another academic going after me and RBN. So this guy obviously not a follower. He's an academic. And they respond, fossil fuel industry subsidies aren't corruption. For one, this is an academic. But you guys see how dumb they are? Where did I say that? In my post at all. And I say here, this is what I post. I said OP claims, the original poster, claims he cares about climate change, but is weak on Democrats funding the Ukraine war. If you care about climate and you aren't calling out the Nord Stream bomber, you are deeply unserious. So you want to know his response, CJ, the academic guy? He said, yes, we all know the military-industrial complex is the biggest polluter. Yeah, we know that, Nick. God damn, why you keep bringing it up? We know that. So I say, if y'all know the military-industrial complex is the biggest polluter, why is that not the number one concern of progressives? Why is he mad? Because his criticism of RBN is we care too much about the Ukraine war, CJ. So you want to know what he says after I say these 2 points at him? The academic, the big brain thinker? Laugh out loud. All right. You guys see, and I'll bring this up to answer your question, CJ. They have nothing. When you bring up these facts, they always resort to the same shit. They just pretend they don't see you. In my original post, the original poster, the TYT guy never responded to my point about climate. He's like, oh, fuck. He one of the people that know stuff. He one of the people that do his research. He's not one of those TYT viewers. He's one of those people that knows his ABCs.
I'm gonna cover the Maui. I'm gonna cover the Maui death toll. I have a very in-depth segment I want to cover on this. We didn't get to the first story, the Dr. Cornel West story, because we talked about that earlier. But before we do that, since we're on topic of people calling me a LARPer, once again, co-founder of Tenant Mans, I was at the George Floyd protest, organized with George Floyd protest, organized with KC Tenants, or organized with I'm gonna start bragging more, fam, because I have to. Because people will lie on your name. As soon as you start getting a following, as soon as people start listening to you, people will lie on your name. And I used to wonder why people used to boast a lot, because I always thought that was weird. That's not usually who I am. And I realized as you get more followers and more people learn who you are, you have to do that, or someone else will shape a narrative around you. Oh, Nick doesn't do activism because you don't. If I'm bragging about it, that would be the narrative. So I talk about when I went to Seattle and gave a speech with Workers Strike Back, which none of the professional managerial class covered, right? So I talk about that. I brag about that now because I have to. Because if I don't, that should be erased from history. So this is what I'm doing now, and I've been tweeting about this a lot. First time I'm plugging this on YouTube. I really hope I can get some support. I am running this is going to be our RBN Kansas City big relaunch event. We had our last event with Rome and Tour for the Poor. So we're going to help low-income families get school supplies for the upcoming school year. And that's going to be one way that we're going to build this organization and I want to talk to the community because I want people to understand the difference between mutual aid and charity. Mutual aid has an ideal goal. The ideal goal, a movement building program. When you have a movement that is showing up for the community and you are looking to branch out of this broken system and having your own kind of self-governance, whether it be decreasing people's quality of life, where we have rent mutual aid, whether we have food mutual aid, whether it's just helping people full school supplies, we having our own outside government to combat this capitalist system, which is our enemy. So by doing mutual aid, you set up your own government, and then by doing that, you're showing people you showing up for them. Then people become part of your government. This neighbor who not necessarily radicalized, he's like, man, I like what niggas doing down the street. Already happened multiple times. Then they sign up on your movement. Then someone else signed to your movement because they see you giving diapers away. Then you do a barbecue. Then someone else signed to your movement. You get more people to your government. All of a sudden, you got a revolutionary movement on your hands. You guys see, that's the goal of mutual aid. Charity is just top-down bullshit. Top-down, no goal in mind, tax write-out, PR propaganda bullshit. That most of the costs go to administrative head, like Red Cross, for example. And this is a difference, and this is a concept that the professional managerial class don't even understand, CJ, and I am not exaggerating. Like people like Ryan Grimm, I still remember this debate with Franco. Yeah. We was like, well, we mean mutual aid, that's just charity. That shit has been living rent-free in my head, fam. Franco, a long time ago, maybe a year and a half ago, debated Ryan Grimm. He brought up mutual aid, and Ryan Grimm just like, fuck you mean? This just charity work? Nigga, that's not just charity work, fam. But anyway, this is what I'm doing. And while I do this, I want to educate people why this is important, why building community is important. When we did a diaper giveaway, there was people asking me in Rome, why are we doing this? So you don't want to be annoying about it. You don't want to be like, hey guys, what's your politics? Can become a revolutionary, burn death to America. No, that's not going to work. We are scientific. We are strategic. We are an intelligent working class movement, are we not? So we show up to the store and we got hundreds of diapers in our cart. 2 black men with hundreds of diapers. So guess what? People start asking questions. So that's when you lean in. We helping poor, low-income families afford diapers because our government failed them. Because apparently we can't rely on the state to take care of us, so we got to take care of ourselves. And that's what I was saying to people. Rome was saying this to people. And you know what happened when we said it to people? They were like, God damn, I agree with that. I don't like Democrats or Republicans, but I like that. I never heard one person we had a conversation with, and I'm sure most mutual aid activists were saying the same thing. They had that message and someone like, I don't like that. That never happens. Usually most people like, I fuck with that message. Whether they're Republican or Democrat. There was older white people at where we was getting this store. They're like, damn, I'm glad you're doing this, Nick and Rome. I'm glad you guys doing this. This is something that unites people against our broken system. You guys see the long-term movement building strategy and potential that mutual aid has, especially when you pair it with a surging third-party movement. Have the third-party movement get all the attention, and then you win people over with mutual aid at the end of the day. That's my theory of change. But sorry, CJ, I want to give a rant because this is the first time I promoted this, but because I want
that's good. That's good that you shot that out.
Conversation about mutual aid, but we can get back to. I'll pass it to your story, and I have
it's sort of the same story.
Maui. Yeah, I have a story about Maui, but you can do your main story.
Yeah, we'll
first.
cover that. Crazy was happening in Maui. Crazy was happening in Maui. But it's not surprising, like capitalists are always ready. They're literally like that evil character that's rolling their hands like this and laughing and stuff. That's literally them with what's happening to regular people. What I wanted to start with is the article that Tom Hartmann wrote, but it actually has an accompanying video, Nick. He actually did a video on the same topic. So I want to, I'm going to bring that up too. So let's bring up the video. It's a short. I didn't understand what was this about, but it's a short video. So let's start with the video better than the article, because the article goes into a little more detail. Let's start with the overview. Let's start with the overview of it. And the overview. Now, the title of this video, yes.
Sorry, go ahead, CJ.
You democracy. No, go ahead. Is democracy so fragile that a vote for Cornel, that's spelled wrong, it should be one L, West, is literally risking fascism. This is where Trump derangement syndrome has taken over. Go ahead, Nick.
So essentially what he's saying is if you think that is true, that once again, this is the most important election of your lifetime. Like, we survived Trump before. Joe Biden is a fascist. Joe Biden has the most fascist tendencies. When you see how he is commanding, and the Supreme Court called him out for this. He's commanding Facebook and social media companies to censor Americans. Their Twitter files revealed that the Ukrainian government was giving the Biden administration order to censor their own citizens. Ridiculous. So when you use the term fascism, I try not to use it on every occasion because there are people that overuse it, like Tom Hartmann. So if you are making the claim that Trump is a fascist without saying that Biden is a fascist, you're watering down that term. You're dumbing down your audience, and you're promoting deeply unserious rhetoric. So the answer to this question, before even watching the video, is we already live under a capitalistic, fascistic, imperialist country. So why should we be invested on who wins between two corrupt, warmongering oligarchs? That should be the absolute least of our concerns, because the outcome will be exactly the same. But let's continue. That's my preface, but go ahead.
No, great preface. Let's listen. It's not even a 5-minute video, so let's listen.
Vote for Cornel West. And
it feels like one of his words was cut off. Let me rewind it and see if it was here.
Vote for Cornel West. And, there's this meme that is being promoted. One of the major sources of promotion for it nowadays is Reason Magazine. The Koch brothers started this thing years ago. It's kind of the voice of the libertarians. Not so much the magazine itself as the people who write for it in the media. And, they're promoting these ideas of, I want to vote for the person I like the most, not some party or candidate that I only half agree with, or you're just trying to get me to vote Democratic because you support the corrupt party, or people in France and Israel can vote for anybody they want. Why can't I? And it's just, people don't understand our political system. Now, first of all, if you don't live in
So let me pause it here. Yep. Because this is such a establishment response to workers saying, fuck your candidate. Is that you dumb peasant obviously don't know what's happening here. So let me explain it to you. It can't be the fact that, no, I understand exactly what the result is of me voting for Cornel West. And I'm telling you, I don't give a fuck, and I'm still voting for Cornel. That can't possibly be it in their mind. So his article is from the point of view of, let me explain how this actually works mechanically.
This is what no theory does to a motherfucker. The entire professional managerial left reads nothing, studies nothing, studies no history, reads no Marx, reads no intelligent organizing theory at all. Because I just explained to you our theory of change. I'm glad I did before you played this video regarding our mutual aid and the importance of building a socialist third party, which every single Marxist advocate for. Correct? He says, you guys don't understand the system that we are in. And I'm asking you guys, how did this mind frame benefit us? Isn't that the question I always ask? You notice how he never asked that question? How does my mindset benefit the workers? The mindset that benefits the workers is, it does not matter what system I am in. I am going to operate and I'm going to move in a way that benefit me and my community. And if the system in the way, we must resist it. That's the mindset of the worker. Well, that's what it should be. But the professional managerial class left, like Thom Hartmann, he wants the workers to kneel and bend to the capitalist corrupt institutions. You can't, the system doesn't allow you to be a socialist, so stop being a socialist. The system doesn't allow you to be anti-imperialist, so stop being anti-imperialist. It is weakness and it is surrender of the highest order. And do you guys see why these people are the number one enemy of the workers? You have the people that wage an offense against us, and you got people like him that shot sheep herd workers in the worst possible strategy and scenario to fight against our oppression. It's actually quite disgusting. But let's continue, CJ.
Let's continue.
Swing state. Feel free to vote for Cornel West.
Let me back up a few seconds. It feels like that last word was cut off, and it's important
CJ,
to the point that he's making. Go ahead,
CJ. I'm gonna read this comment because I didn't know this, but this goes to the Kyle and Jimmy Dore video. They pretend that Jimmy changed, right? Meanwhile, they made the most obvious aggressive changes. And this guy, this person, Curry, says in 2012, Tom Hartmann was advocating for a third-party debate on RT America. Now that explains why I used to watch him, because I'm not too familiar with this guy. But isn't that, so you see the blatant change there?
Yeah.
And they think they're slick. How do they rationalize this? It's beyond me. But let's continue. That's a great comment. Thank you. I didn't know that before. But thank you.
Me either. I didn't know that part too. That just does make sense though. Why, like, this is not the same person I used to listen to. Like, he hasn't been the same person for several years. But let's listen.
Now, first of all, if you don't live in a swing state, feel free to vote for Cornel West. I mean, you know, I realize some people will get upset with me for saying that, but you know, in 2000, I lived in Vermont and I voted for Ralph Nader. There was no way that Vermont was not going to vote for Al Gore. And we have a winner-take-all system. And so, you know, if you're in a solidly blue or solidly red state, your vote for president, you can afford to cast a protest vote. But if you live in a swing state,
fam. So once again,
such a problem with the term protest vote, because you're saying without saying it, this is not a democracy. In a democracy,
like
there is no such thing. Yeah, it's no such thing as a protest vote. Go ahead.
Like we said this before, you can tell someone's a shitlib when they use the term protest vote and when they use purity test.
Yeah.
What's the opposite of purity? Impure. So they're mad because we're complaining they're impure. That's what they're saying when they say purity test. And it's not a protest vote. And once again, these people are meant to lead leftists and workers off a cliff, because our goal, as we explain to people, which many people in professional managerial class either don't know or they pretend they don't know. The reason why you vote for third party is to help them get to 5% federal funding. Technically, if they get to 15%, they're allowed on the base. We know that that's not going to happen. But imagine what the movement would look like if you had 15% fucking support. Nigga, you ready to change the system, right? But just getting to 5% is important because we need federal funding. So how does that serve our movement to divide our fucking votes? We need everyone to vote because getting to 5% is going to be a hard challenge. We can't have people in red states and blue states swing states sitting out.
No,
that's absurd. That's an obstacle for us getting to 5%, and they know that. You think I'm smarter than these people? He been doing this shit way longer than me. I've been doing this for 2 years. They know.
But think about Nick. Anybody who's saying that is not a person who's part of the Green Party, unless you're Howie Hawkins. Anybody who's saying that is not a person. You notice anybody who gives that advice is always a person who's for the Democratic Party. So why is us as Green Party voters, why are we even taking advice from people like him and Kyle who are Democratic voters?
Exactly.
It doesn't make any sense, but go ahead.
We can continue.
Okay. Video. There we go.
A protest vote is actually a vote for the Republican Party. Vote for Cornel West is a vote for Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis or Chris Christie or whoever.
So in his article, and we'll get to it in a second, he breaks down. It's really, for me, only because we know this, is patronizing to read the article. Like, I know all of this technical stuff. You're trying to make it seem like, and then the Duvernay's law. I know you've heard of that. This is something that the first past the post voting and Duvernay's law are the two things that he tries to go over with as basically saying you're going to be giving your vote away. That's not how democracy works.
Yeah,
but
I read the
Go
article.
ahead.
I didn't read the whole thing. I skimmed maybe to like 70% of it before I rage quit. But this video is really good because the video is really good because if you haven't read the article, what he's doing is he's performing his article.
Right.
Everything said at least the first 90 seconds is exactly in the article. That's why I think the video
in the article
is good to cover as well. But let's continue.
Yes. Yeah, so most of the article we're not going to read. I'm gonna go to specific parts and points on what. But like you said, this video he's acting out like these phrases is actually in the actual article.
Yeah, every single one.
Yes. So let's listen.
Whoever ends up being their nominee, I'm betting Glenn Youngkin, but I'm an outlier in this regard. Why is that? Why is it that in France they have a dozen political parties that are all seated in the parliament? Why is it that in Israel there's a dozen political parties? I don't know, it's exactly 12, but you get my point, that are all seated in the Knesset. Why is that? Because they have a system that we don't have. In 1789, we started our democracy. It was the very first one.
Yeah, because France asked nicely.
Huge experiment.
They're like these people don't have their government is different from ours. Yeah, because they surely asked nice and they just gave it to them. No, these governments protest. They demanded more from the government, and Tom Hartmann does not want us to do that. But let's continue.
The founders had no idea exactly how to do this. They invented it as they were going along, and so they came up with winner take all, first past the post elections.
There we go. There we go. That's what Kyle, you notice Kyle just started saying this. How come first past the post voting has been going on for decades, but now we're just now starting to hear about this as a reason? Literally, did you think about it? Did you hear about this as the reason 2018? I didn't.
I would say this because as someone who's been, this is not my first rodeo. I heard people use this first past the post thing before, but it came from the hardcore Hillary Clinton liberal wing of the Democratic Party. So to your point, you're right, CJ, but to your point, it's very telling that these quote unquote progressives are now using the talking points that people used to use against them. So they just straight up adopted Democrat language. That's why I told you guys they are Democrat operative, because as I said, this is not my first rodeo. I'm like, you niggas sound like the liberals that used to fight against me in 2016 now. But let's continue.
You know why I think it's more prevalent, Nick? It's because, all right, it feels more prevalent. It's because, and two reasons. Because we have Cornel West. Like, there's a real possibility of what they believe happened in 2016, which a Green Party sort of taking votes from their quote unquote candidate. That's a real possibility. So they're kind of leaning on this, because if you think about it, Nick, these same progressives have been virtue signaling to us more radical leftists. Oh yeah. No, I'll be down for Green Party. I'll be down for third party. But we got to build it up. They've been lying to us this whole time. But now we have a candidate in a perfect storm, Nick, where now it's like, you said, now what's up? But now they're backpedaling. Now they're double backing on their third party. This guy did it as it pointed out in that comment, and Kyle Kulinski did it. So let's get back to the video.
Sometimes it's called majoritarian or plurality elections.
We know what it is, you fuck.
Whoever gets the majority of the votes or the plurality of the votes becomes the politician, and whoever doesn't is out. In a parliamentary system, which was, by the way, proposed by John Stuart Mill in 1861, which is why all these other democracies have this, because most of the democracies in the world didn't come about until after the Civil War. There were only 5 democracies in the world at the time of the Civil War. And, the Civil War, all of Europe was holding their breath saying, is democracy going to fail?
It doesn't matter. Like, what? Like this ton of filler bullshit that has nothing to do with the core argument. Like, he's trying to hypnotize you. Now you're talking about history. Like, what does all this have to do with your core argument that voting for a Democrat is a waste of your vote? Like, he's like, he started talking about history. He started bringing, he trying to hypnotize you. And PMCs do that shit all the time. It's very hard for me to listen, and we don't do that RBN. And I'm sure there are a lot of PMCs that had a hard time listening to us. They see us as very annoying to listen to because we don't do a lot of PMC bullshit that they seem to enjoy. But anyway, let's continue. I was just
Marianne Williamson. I noticed this.
Yeah.
Marianne Williamson does a lot too when she answers questions. So and so back in, and she does this too. It's very annoying, and I've said it in the video too. I think we both have made comment on.
Yeah, I was just getting annoyed. That's my point. But let's continue. I was just getting annoyed listening to.
And that's what the feel of the article. That's why I didn't want to read the entire article, because the article gives you that same feeling. It's like, dude.
Yeah, they all do it.
Talking about all this shit, man. This is too much, too long about shit that is just obvious.
Yeah.
And when it didn't fail, that's when European countries started adopting John Stuart Mill's proposal for proportional representation, which is if your party gets 12% of the vote, you get 12% of the seats in parliament. If you get 2% of the vote, you get 2% of the seats in parliament. If you get 35% of the vote, you get 35%. And what ends up happening is you have coalition building and that sort of thing. But we don't have that here in the United States. So we don't have that luxury. So, respectfully. And,
so this is too bad. Oops. So I guess we can't do anything, guys. Pack it in. And remember, these people call us the nihilists. CJ, fam. These people call us the defeated. We're the nihilists, and these people are like, man, come on, man. The system won't allow left socialist movement to exist. Pack it in. But we're the negative Nancy. We're the nihilists. This is unbelievable. But let's continue. Or if you want to, unless you want to chime in.
No, it's about to end. So I'll let it finish out.
If you'd like, but respectfully, I would say, if you live in a solid red or blue state, do what you want, because odds are your state is going to vote solidly for this is for president, is going to vote for a Republican or a Democrat the way it always has. But if you live in a swing state, please stay with the Democratic Party this time around. And if you're not happy with the Democratic Party, if you think it's too corrupt or too sclerotic.
He's literally begging you, but let's continue.
Yeah, listen to this last part here. And if you're mad at let me just let it play.
Please stay with the Democratic Party this time around. And if you're not happy with the Democratic Party, if you think it's too corrupt or too sclerotic or whatever, get inside it. Join the Democratic Party. Become a member of the party. Become a precinct committee person. Push them to change. You can volunteer. It's a wide open organization in most states anyway.
This motherfucker, man.
And you can just, walk in and say, I want to be part of this. I want to help promote my progressive values. And change the party from within so that other progressives will be enthusiastic about voting for it. This is the only way it happens. By the way, this is what the Republicans
it's not.
did back in 2012. With the Tea Party
you notice how they say facts that are not in evidence, as they would say in court of law, meaning that you're stating it as if the fact has already been stamped a fact. This is all we can do, guys. This is it. That's how they state it, and it's not all that you can do. It's all that you can do if you don't want to hit the streets. It's all that you can do if you don't want to do direct action. It's all that you can do if you don't want to organize with the working class. It's all that you want to do. Tom Hartmann, professional managerial class, but. Go ahead with that. Oh, I thought you were going to read.
I'm going to this is like literally one of the first times I heard this dude speak because I don't listen to his show. But I'm going to let it finish because this motherfucker just pissed me off. I'll let it finish.
Yeah, he's
first.
Terrible.
Movement, or 2010, when they started the Tea Party movement. The right-wing billionaires launched.
Wait, I didn't catch that last sentence. Let me rewind it just a little bit.
Yeah, you want to go back a little bit.
Yeah, I can go back a little more. Yeah,
and we
what he says about the Tea Party. The Tea Party thing, yeah.
And change the party from within so that other progressives will be enthusiastic about voting for it. This is the only way it happens. By the way, this is what the Republicans did back in 2012 with the Tea Party movement, or 2010, when they started the Tea Party movement. The right-wing billionaires launched a movement to get conservatives, or what they call conservatives, I call them reactionaries, to take over the Republican Party. And it worked. They did it. They now control the Republican Party, for better or for worse. We need to take control of the Democratic Party, and that's how they do it. We'll be right back.
See, what people like him... Go ahead. No, go ahead. You can go first. Go ahead.
I wanted to hear... I want to let it finish, but that literally is extremely... That's infuriating to listen to, fam. Like, do you guys understand why RBN is this now? Listen to this weak beta cuck motherfucker. Listen to his weak, fucking, pathetic beta male bullshit that he's pushing on the left. Why do you think there's this attitude that the left is weak and filled with soy boys and shit? Because he is. Thank God RBN is this. Thank God rugged motherfuckers who relentlessly advocate for the workers like me, you, and Rome exist, and our allies, Comrade Misty and many others exist, Salby Sad, JB, and others. This motherfucker is a weak beta cuck. That is, his goal is to turn the working class into a bunch of weak beta fucking slimy motherfuckers. Oh, the system won't allow us to do this. First past the pub, we gotta take out the This motherfucker is weak. Do I even need an intellectual argument? Like, I'm literally upset listening to this shit because this is the professional managerial class left we've been talking about. Why do you think the left in this country is so fucking weak? In China, they retire at 54. You guys know that? You guys know in China, their rent is 70% lower than ours. The average rent in China is $400 to $500. In Russia, they get 180. They get way more maternity leave. They get 180 days paid maternity leave in Russia. Way more vacation time. Zoya tells us this all the time. It's crazy the worker rights they have in the quote-unquote authoritarian Russia. You know why? Because the Russian left is now made up of weak beta cucks like Tom Hartmann. His job is to turn the left into weak motherfuckers. I'm sorry, this is not an intellectual argument. Because I'm hoping I'm explaining to you why I'm upset.
No, because to your point, Nick.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that's what we have. That's what we have. A lot of these sort of, what do they call Bernie Sanders but a cuck? A lot of these, it's the whole, their vocabulary. It's very like just weak. Marianne Williamson. What do we say? You're not strong enough for this moment. It's this weak sort of people, this group that's running the left, that is the mouthpiece for the left, that has the mic. That's speaking to the left. These weak these weak people. So imagine. So when are they gonna ever say let's hit the streets? They're never gonna say that. So what has to happen for you to say that, professional managerial class? Nothing. Do you have to be out on the street? Do you have to be unhoused? Do you have to not have health care? Do you have to be living under a apartheid state like the Palestinians?
He's worth $5 million according to a super chat I saw. Once again, I don't know that much about this guy. That's why I'm infurious, because I learned more about Tom Hartmann recently just because this article and a few takes he had. I never actually seen his videos. Like I seen
he's been around for a while. He's been around for a while.
Yeah. And this I just got this from the super chat. Thank you, Jay the informant. Tom Hartmann network is reported at 5 million. He's happy. That's why he's allowed to be a weak little fucking spineless fucking insect that tell workers to just stand down and take it. He told you to bend down and fucking take it. Joe Biden is funding ICE to historic levels. And there's a report I'm gonna cover whenever I get a chance. I got so many stories I got in backlog. Yeah, there's a story where ICE, there was an investigation. They have brutal, inhumane treatment under Joe Biden, just like under Donald Trump. And it's a new investigation that just came out that exposed Joe Biden. Tom Hartmann's response to that, and he wants you to say, you shut the fuck up and take that. Yeah, you're not going to change that between the two-party system, but I don't give a fuck, and you should shut the fuck up and just accept what the government gives you. It's and I say this because I talked to many leftists in the global South. Like I had the privilege of knowing Josana, Claudia, and a bunch of indigenous communist Brazilians. And I'm gonna show you in my Maui segment that Hawaii revolutionary. I'll play a little bit of clip of her later, but she's gonna scare the shit out of the professional managerial class because she's advocating for her people. She's not advocating for weak ass bullshit. She said the United States is our enemy, and she's fighting for her sovereignty for her people. Because the Hawaiian government paired with the United States is an oppressive monster that had their boot on their neck, and we have to fight them. Meanwhile, Tom Hartmann wants these Hawaiian protesters to shut the fuck up and take it. Oh, come on, this is the system you're in. So every single leftist in the global south, whether they're socialists, whether they're anarchists, no matter where they lie on the spectrum, they look at the United States left as a fucking joke. Are you guys okay with that? I'm not. I'm offended, and I'm so tired of Tom Hartmann's and Kulinski's making the United States left a joke. But let's continue, CJ.
Yeah, and a lot of the like we said, a lot of the video covers is literally like the article. So we're gonna skim past a lot of this and down to this part here where he kind of sums up the argument. He does make a couple of more points, Nick, that he does not make in the video that I'm sure will trigger both of us. So where's that marking point here? He talks about Jill Stein being, and the way he refers to Jill Stein. Where is it at? Here, like he's progressive. Look how he describes Jill Stein. Jill Stein had no such moral compunction with her Green Party candidacy. Like so let me go back a little bit so to give you a little bit more context. So let me go back. It strains credulity to assert that the majority of Nader's voters would have either voted for Bush or not voted at all, which is why when David Cobb ran for president on the Green Party ticket in 2004, he explicitly told people in swing states, you brought this up a couple of streams ago, I remember, not to vote for him, but to cast their ballots for John Kerry. So he's saying that's a good thing. And then he says Jill Stein had no such moral compunction, meaning it was a moral thing for the sellout David Cobb to say, vote for John Kerry. That was moral. Not being a sellout, that was moral. But that's how he refers to Jill Stein. But let's get to the part that I want to start at. And as you can see, this is a very long article. Okay, so here it goes. Right. In a second here, Nick. Okay, right here at the national level. All right, so let me blow this up. So this is at the very end of the article. Like I said, if you want to go read it yourself, you can go read it. The video pretty much covers a good majority of this article. Sorry, everybody. All right, so here we go. At the national level, though, the best way to solve the problem of some Democratic politicians, get what he said, some Democratic politicians not being as progressive as we like, is to get active by joining the Democratic Party, Nick, and becoming a force for positive change within it. Go ahead,
CJ. But you guys see how they never learn from their mistakes. That's their job. Their job is never to analyze a previous event and take a lesson from it. So he's saying what we need to do is to organize within the Democratic Party. Fam, what have we done since the start of 2015? I tried. I literally did more than most people for the Bernie movement. I'm a very scientifically minded person. I tried this, I tested the variable, and then when it failed, I moved on. Here's the facts, fam. Ever since the start of the Bernie movement, the Democratic Party and the progressive movement has shifted to the right.
Yes.
The environmental crisis has gotten worse. We are further away from Medicare for all. The police state is stronger. The military-industrial complex is booming. If it was the exact opposite, fam, I probably would have a different take. But CJ, imagine if since the beginning of the Bernie movement, we got Medicare for all. Imagine if student loan debt was canceled since the beginning of the Bernie movement. Imagine if a few wars ended directly because of their influence, right? Imagine the apartheid state of Israel was funded less. Imagine if the police state was funded less. I'd be like, man, this movement, this strategy that we attempted to take over the Democratic Party, it was a great idea. But that's the exact opposite of reality. That would mean to be a scientific leftist. That would mean to be intellectual when you're pursuing a movement building. If that shit worked, I'll be knocking on doors from Nina Turner right now. But that shit does not. So I moved on, and now I'm into some more revolutionary shit that has been proven to work in countries like Cuba and many other revolutionary movements. Being with CJ, let's continue.
I'll start here. As we like to get active by joining the Democratic Party and becoming a force for positive change within it, to stand up for public office and elect more progressives, Nick, something that can only be done within the Democratic Party. As if, okay, I'll try to read through, because if I stop at every line with this propaganda, this guy's giving.
It's gonna be tough. I'm done.
Yeah. To not quote throw away your vote, end quote, but to help rebuild the institution that brought America Social Security, the minimum wage, the right to unionize, Medicare for all, Medicaid, free college, regulatory agencies that defend and protect the environment and working class people, support for people in poverty, and that built America's first real middle class. Now you see here how he is mixing together the Democratic Party and things just happening in America, because these things aren't all, it's called Social Security because the socialists brought it. That's why it's called Social Security. So there's a, you know what I mean? He's if you're not, just like what professional managerial class people do, if you don't know the information, they omit information to make you think.
Absolutely.
So if the regular reader would be thinking, oh, the Democrats did all of this stuff. No, everybody knows that Nixon is the one who signed into law the EPA. So what is he talking about? Environmental protection.
Yeah, and remember, this is why we say they're.
Go ahead.
This is why we say they're trying to cultivate a dumb left. Thom Hartmann, Emma Vigeland, Anna Kasparian, all these people want to cultivate a dumb left who don't know the stuff we are telling you on these streams. But let's continue, CJ.
Yes, there are corrupt and bought-off politicians within the Democratic Party. At least he acknowledges that. Ever since the Supreme Court fully legalized political bribery with the Citizens United decision and its predecessor, there have been more than a few Democrats who have enthusiastically put out their hands. How about this will be more accurately stated? There have been more than a few who haven't put out their hands enthusiastically for these corporate donations. The most obvious and cynical ones call themselves problem solvers. But, Nick, voting for a third-party candidate and thus handing elections to Republicans won't solve the problem, Nick. If anything, it will make it worse because the entire GOP has committed itself to being on the take. And as we saw with Nader and Stein, third-party candidates often simply hand more power to the GOP. Try to find, for example, even one Republican who isn't benefiting from the billions in oil dollars that have flowed through the Koch network over the years and is thus willing to do something about climate change. Is he serious, Nick? Is this a serious statement?
He's a parody. Like these people are parodies of what we say they are. Like people think we are harsh on these people, and then we read their work. Like there needs to be way more anger at these people who are trying to cultivate a dumb love, because they play a very important role for the establishment. The establishment want nothing more than a weak, ineffective left. That's why the CIA funded social democrats movements, right, in the 60s. And they started the anti-communist movement because they wanted a weak labor movement, because it was the socialists and it was the communists who won us our labor rights. So a bunch of anti-communists was funded by the CIA to promote social democracy, where we believe in democratic socialism, because socialism in other countries and socialism brought about by the labor movement is inherently undemocratic. And when this happened, the establishment funded these idiots because they're like, thank fucking God these people exist. So now the original group that they funded no longer exists, but all the themes and the principles that come from social democrats came from this general social democrat idea that was funded and propped up by the CIA.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, let's continue, CJ.
Yeah. So this part here, let me read it again. Try to find, for example, even one Republican who isn't benefiting from the billions in oil dollars. The reason I said it's so ridiculous because Democrats are benefiting equally from billions of oil dollars. So what are you talking about? But I think because he inserts this part, he can say he's not lying, because he's saying these Republicans are getting oil money through this Koch network. Democrats are not getting it through the Koch network. They're getting it through somewhere else. But to say this last part, Nick, after the Ukraine war and the Nord Stream bombing, to say this years and thus willing to do something about climate change. What are you talking about, Thom Hartmann? What about the Nord Stream pipeline, the biggest eco-terrorism ever in human history? What about the Ukraine war? What about the 30 some odd tanks that we're sending over to Ukraine that's being made? Do you know how much oil that those tanks take per hour? Do you know that, Thom Hartmann, for you to be able to say this stuff? It's this issue, Nick, that I have with the professional managerial class and their advocacy for the Democratic Party. The ability to close their eyes to what the Democrats are doing, which a lot of times is worse than what the Republicans are doing. What are Republicans doing to fuck up climate change right now that's worse than Democrats, Nick? Nothing. Democrats are doing IRA, 600 feet, I forget, 600 yards or something like that of more land for oil drilling. Then we got the mountain pipeline with the debt ceiling. Then we got the Nord Stream. So what is he talking about? It's this duality of being able to call out one side while your side is doing worse. But let me finish up the article. It's almost done. It's one more paragraph. Republican governance and their fealty to the fossil fuel industry is literally destroying America. Just the ability, boy. This is why listen to this right here. This is why real progressives, Nick, like Bernie Sanders, AOC, and Pramila Jayapal. You're using Pramila Jayapal.
You said Pramila Jayapal.
Of all the people in the squad.
Damn, I've seen milquetoast DSA people criticize Pramila Jayapal.
Oh god.
Even milquetoast progressives that we usually would criticize. For example, I've seen like Jordan Chariton, Kyle Kulinski, Crystal Ball, all these milquetoast motherfuckers go after Pramila Jayapal. Tom Hartmann is so far gone, he still considered her an ally. Unbelievable.
Wow. And he says, so he calls real progressives like Bernie Sanders, AOC, and Pramila Jayapal, Nick, they stay within. This is the reason the Democratic Party is better, and it's proof because these great progressives, Nick, they choose to stay within the Democratic Party. For progressives to take over the country, we must first take over the Democratic Party. I can't believe they're trying to run this Justice Democrat strategy again after they're collapsing, Nick. I can't believe it. In other words, get inside the party and take it over. It's what hardcore conservatives did with the GOP over the past 20 years, and he's talking about the Tea Party. Go ahead, Nick.
Does it surprise you that this guy was part of the NATO left? At his comment said, I didn't know that. Once again, I think I may have seen that something before, but I forgot about it. But Tom Hartmann he's a big NATO leftist. Like if you look at his channel, he covers. He's a big Putin derangement syndrome guy. So do you guys think it's a coincidence that all the NATO leftists are part of the dumb left who say stupid shit like this and they advocate for taking over the Democratic Party? Not at all. I don't think. The NATO left is a scourge in the Western left movements in general.
And to think we used to be in coalition with them in 2016, how things changed over time. It's just unbelievable. But this is the last part of it. So the next time, Nick, somebody tells us how they're going to only vote for the best candidate, you may want to give them this little civics lesson, along with the phone number, website, and email for their local Democratic Party, and get behind the movement to bring ranked choice voting to national elections. Why? So we can get Eric Adams through ranked choice voting. We can't afford any more George W. Bushes or Donald Trumps, who were both brought to us in part by Democratic-leaning voters thinking they were doing the right thing by voting for third-party candidates. And that is the disgusting end of this article, Nick. I mean, it's truly disgusting. But again, they are in absolute panic mode, Nick. Absolute panic mode that they don't have the influence. Them just saying something. Hey, vote for Marianne Williamson. Wait, Marianne Williamson getting 3%, 5%, 7%. Wait a minute. What's going on when you got two of the biggest networks, Brianna Joy Gray, you got Breaking Points, and you got Circular Talk, Nick. Those are three of the biggest sort of progressive networks, at least in the top 10, that influence enough of the progressives to get on board. Look what happened to Nina Turner. So it's been a slow drizzle, but they clearly see, oh, we don't give a fuck about this shit. You're not getting RBN, and you're not getting our community. We are out of this red-blue game for sure. Whether Cornel West was here or not, he's just making it better for us to lay our attention to, taking it away from one part and giving it to the Green Party. But go ahead, Nick. Any last remarks on this article, and then you can get into your story.
Yeah, we can read some super chats. I have 2 stories I definitely want to get to.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for the 499. Cough-Boy 123. Maybe Cal 2.0 will finally get to interview Bernie. Maybe that would did it. Maybe because Kyle used to call Bernie like his daddy and shit. Like he's so fucking cringe. He's got Bernie his daddy. So imagine the trauma that was inflicted upon him when his dad like just straight up rejected him. Like so that broke him. He's like, I gotta do whatever I can to win the approval of father. I want to do whatever I can to do that. So I mean, what else can you say to explain this shit other than humor, right? Thanks for the 199, Roy. Caleb Maupin made a video smearing Rome. Rome hurt Caleb's feelings quite a few times on the timeline, so that doesn't surprise me. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it.
That comment up because they said the same thing during our stream yesterday, and we addressed it yesterday.
I didn't. I don't remember that actually, but anyway.
I just basically said like we don't care. I mean,
I just whatever.
Like it's Caleb Maupin. Like what does that do?
Man.
That doesn't do.
Like,
yeah,
we speak truth to power. We talk politics from a black Marxist revolutionary perspective, and that hurts a lot of white people's feelings, dude. That's just the facts. That's the facts. Like Caleb Maupin and many people, they just call for unity without solidarity, and Rome does not play that shit. I talked about this in review of our pasta debate. Well, I'm like, I'm not interested in this unity you're preaching. I'm interested in solidarity. Unity is a tool, and Rome don't play that shit. So I don't know what the video's about, but I have seen Rome go after Caleb and hurt his feelings, so that doesn't surprise me. I'm just not interested because we hurt a lot of people's feelings, man. We can't fucking worry about comforting these motherfuckers. Cry in your corner. Like, I don't care in general. Thank you for the $5, Eric. So this is what Justice is Coming looks like. Smear Dr. West and sent for brain dead Biden. Thank you for that, Eric. Thank you for the $5. Another one here. Tom Hartmann needs to listen to Old Cow, not Junkless Ken, Dog Cow.
Junkless Ken.
Yeah, we played this one before. So I'm gonna get to. There's a lot I want to cover.
There's a lot on this story though.
Maui,
there's a lot on this story.
Coverage, and we asked this question yesterday. Once again, I'm gonna just leave it up as a question because YouTube is scary. So I'm gonna just leave it as a question. Do you guys think that capitalists would enable a fire? Do you think capitalists would sacrifice the lives of over 1,000 people in order to get cheap property for real estate developers and other capitalists? CJ, man, his answer very clear yesterday.
I don't know. Would they let several planes fly into the Twin Towers, Nick? Would they do that?
So I played this video yesterday. So the same way I kind of expect people to listen to RBN, Black Power Media, Black Agenda Report when it comes to Black issues, we ask you to allow us to lead on our issues. So the thing about that, and this is why I think RBN grows, is we're consistent on that. When I advocate for Palestinian rights, I advocate for Palestinian rights the way I do because of the conversations I had with the Palestinian Community Network, fam. I listened to a Palestinian activist say, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna match their energy, I'm gonna match their tone. So I had the Palestinian Community Network on during our first anti-imperialist summit, and I was like, I want you to explain to me why Israel is apartheid state or not. And they're like, Nick, fam, like you talking about apartheid? Nigga, Israel is a genocidal state. Israel is calling it an apartheid state is actually being too nice to them. So ever since then, I adjusted my language. You know, this like I know I try to call them a genocidal state because that's what Palestinian activists call it. So the same way with indigenous Hawaiian activists, because I am one who respects sovereignty. So I played it earlier before, and just for the sake of this segment, I won't play this again because the question and the rhetorical question of my segment today is: would the Hawaii government and would the United States government do this to the Hawaiian people for the sake of private profits, enable the Maui fire? And I got a presentation I think will lead you into the correct conclusion. So this is a video I want to play again for the sake of the segment and for the people who haven't seen it. This lady is unbelievably powerful, and I'm gonna show you guys what she thinks of the Hawaiian state after this video. So this is to remind you who she is.
The Americans, my people, are our enemies, and you must understand that. They are our enemies. They took our land. They imprisoned our queen. They banned our language. They forcibly made us a colony of the United States. America always says they are democratic. Lies! That is a lie! They have never been democratic with Native people. They have never been democratic with Indians. They have never been democratic with Hawaiians.
So after seeing this, I definitely got to see the entire speech. So let me pull this up here. Oh shit! I think I gotta get the timestamp pulled up again. Here it is. So here's the rest of the speech. That's the fire part, and that's the part that went viral. I posted on Twitter. They got a shit ton of impressions because people are like, damn, this is what the indigenous Hawaiians feel about our government. People don't understand. And this is something I've been trying to learn to educate myself about. And if you want to educate yourself about the crimes the United States government did against the Hawaiian people, listen to Awani K. Trask. She is absolutely sensational. I'll listen to the speech, CJ. I listened to the whole thing. I'm only going to play maybe 4 minutes of it. I'm not even Hawaiian. I was like, holy shit, I'll catch the holy goddamn spirit. Listen to this shit. The same way that a lot of our white allies and other allies, when we play Malcolm X, they're like, damn, that's powerful. I'm white, and I feel that. Now I feel when I listen to this because we rooted in the same struggle. We were in the same struggle. So listen, this is more of the speech, and this part is actually very, very relevant to what's happening today. So let's start from here, and I'll play a few minutes of this.
All right.
I am here to explain what sovereignty is. Sovereignty, as many people say, is a feeling. The other day in the paper, I read sovereignty is aloha. It's love. Later on, someone said it's pride. No. Sovereignty is government. Sovereignty is government. It is an attribute of nationhood. We already have aloha. We already have pride. We already know who we are. Are we sovereign? No. Because we don't have a government. Because we don't control a land base.
Now remember why the West hates the Chinese peace proposal that every single country, the majority of countries in Africa and the global South, Lula sung the praises of the Chinese peace proposal because they called to recognize the sovereignty of indigenous people in countries and states. And that's what she's asking for. And she's going to continue to talk about sovereignty here.
Sovereignty is not a feeling. It is the power of government. It is political power. It is politics. Hawaiians are always being told, especially at the university, join the Democratic Party. I am here to tell you that my grandfather helped to found the Democratic Party, and I repudiate it in front of everyone. I repudiate the Democratic Party, just like I repudiate the Republicans.
So Tom Hartmann is going to tell her to calm down, CJ. So rest in peace, Awani K. Trask. If you guys don't know, she passed away at 71 in 2021. This was in 1993, as you guys see. So this is 30 years ago. 30 years ago, indigenous Hawaiians was condemning the Democratic Party. Meanwhile, that weak beta cuck Tom Hartmann is still telling you to go through the Democratic Party. Whose side are you on? Are you on the side of that weak beta cuck, Tom Hartmann, or this ferocious freedom fighter? Rest in peace. Listen to that part again, CJ.
Being told, especially at the university, join the Democratic Party. I am here to tell you that my grandfather helped to found the Democratic Party, and I repudiate it in front of everyone. I repudiate the Democratic Party just like I repudiate the Republicans. If the Republican Party gave us sugar, the Democrats gave us Waikiki. If the Republican Party gave us racism, the Democrats gave us another form of racism.
Imagine if she was still alive, the amazing conversations that we could have with this person. The same when I have the people from the Palestinian Community Network, when I talk to Nicole Mandela. I mean, these are people we live. Hawaii is hundreds and hundreds of miles away from me. South Africa, God knows how far away. Palestine, how far away? But we saying the same radical shit. You guys think that's a coincidence? Remember we told you how Marxism came from a critique of Western society and how revolutionary indigenous people behave. That came from Kwame Ture. That's why he said that African people need to embrace the movement of Marxism. I don't know what this person's politics, but what she's saying, especially, and I highly, highly recommend you watch the whole speech. This is a 17-minute revolutionary speech. Like, I was thoroughly entertained the entire time when doing research on this, watching this. But we're only going to play a few minutes. I'm going to end around the 5-minute mark, and I'm going to let it continue.
We are not 50% Hawaiian. We are Hawaiian, period. Many years ago, the Soviet Union, now called Russia, invaded Europe and divided it up. Recently, Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait. The Soviet Union is no longer in Europe. Saddam Hussein has been pushed out of Kuwait, but the United States has not been pushed out of Hawaii. They invaded this place. They brought the Marines here. They took our queen. They put her in prison. Maha'oi haole, racist haole. We will never forget any more than the people in Latvia and Lithuania and Estonia forgot, any more than the Maui of Aotearoa forgot, any more than the Tahitians forgot against the French. We will never forget what the Americans have done to us. Never, 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 never.
You see why this is the kind of shit I fuck with? Instead of the Tom Hartmann weak beta cuck shit where, oh no, this is the system, we got to take it. No, she's calling for for us to fight the system. She organized a Hawaii indigenous sovereignty movement. And she explains it throughout the video. The people that fought her, she fought for it, even though the establishment is against her. This is the revolutionary energy that we need on the left, not the weak shit you hear from Cal Kulinski and the NATO left.
The Americans, my people, are our enemies, and you must understand that.
This is from the clip, so we almost done.
They took our land. They imprisoned our queen. They banned our language. They forcibly made us a colony of the United States. America always says they are democratic. Lies! That is a lie! They have never been democratic with Native people. They have never been democratic with Indians. They have never been democratic with Hawaiians. The United States of America is the most powerful imperialist country in the world. In the world. They control the United Nations.
Then she continued to go on this and talk about United States imperialism. You see how the real left is focused on this, CJ? And why I'm offended when the white left tried to replace what it means to be a socialist and what it means to be on the left. When you're a revolutionary, whatever you want to define what it means to be on the left, let's keep it very vague. You're a revolutionary calling for sovereignty for your people. You're calling out imperialism the way that she does. You're not doing this shit like, oh yeah, AOC voted for Ukraine war. Oh well. You don't tolerate that. So I want to show you that video because that was an amazing video. And trust me, I have a path here. I'm going back to the Maui thing here because after listening to the amazing Hawani K. Trask, do you guys believe that the United States government wouldn't be complicit with this fire now? Now, if you're thinking that the Hawaii government and the Hawaii state cares about Hawaiians, this is that amazing lady. I think this was like 2 years before that speech. She is speaking about the Hawaii government. And then now there's a reason why I'm covering this, because I'm going to show you guys later how the Hawaii government is now offering to buy the land from the Maui people at pennies for the dollar. They are being complicit with a capitalist land grab operation. So the Hawaiian government is the enemy of the indigenous Hawaiian people. The same way that the Black Congressional Caucus and all those Black coons are our enemies, CJ. And she makes the point. She compares the Hawaii government and the relationship between her and the indigenous people and the government to a pimp and prostitution situation. I'll let her explain because she's explaining way better than I do. Listen to this. So this is the last clip I'm going to show you before I show you the Mao shit. So listen to this, and I want you guys to really question whether our government will be complicit in this or not. Listen to this.
Prostitution, if we look at it as a metaphor, applies to Hawaii in this way. The prostitute is Hawaii. She's like a woman. She's beautiful. She's fragile. But you can't have her unless you pay. Okay? So you pay as a tourist, you pay as a developer, you pay as a multinational corporation. The more you pay, the more you get. The longer you can stay with her. That's essentially the metaphor. Now, there's the pimp. That's the person who deals with the John, the one who comes, and the prostitute who's in the house. Now, who's the pimp in Hawaii? The state of Hawaii. The state of Hawaii is the pimp. It allows permits. It allows height and density restrictions to be removed. It allows water to be used. And the higher the bidder, the more you get. So the counties...
Remember that. The higher the bidder, the more you get. Just like old videos of Malcolm X. Old shit that Malcolm X and our Black revolutionary leaders apply today. Fam, she was saying this in the early 90s. In the 80s, she was saying this. And we are seeing it in Maui right now. And I'm going to show you guys why I say that. So let's learn here say that again. We're almost done.
And density restrictions to be removed. It allows water to be used. And the higher the bidder, the more you get. So the counties of the state of Hawaii, of the archipelago, bid against each other for Japanese development. So if Cebu Corporation comes to Maui County and says, we want to put up a 4,000 room hotel or a 2,000 room hotel, what will you give us? The county of Maui says, oh, we'll suspend all height and density limits. We'll give you the road in front of the hotel, which is a public road. You can make it private. We'll give you the beach so that no locals can go on the beach, so your tourists don't have to see dark-skinned people on the beach. And we'll throw in a few extra added things when you come up for fire inspection. And that's the way
you guys see how
works.
The American colonial spirit works and how it's complicit with our capitalist system. And now in Maui, after the burning happened, you got real estate developers. You have all these capitalists that are making offers to the Hawaiian people, offering to buy their lands penny on the dollar. You got the Hawaiian government offering to buy their land because they're about to privatize it. She literally predicted this 30 years ago. So there's a reason why I want to show you guys this first. Because I want you, after hearing it, do you guys think the shit I'm about to show you is a coincidence? We almost done. Just a few more seconds of video because I love this point. I love the analogy of saying how the Hawaii treat their people like prostitutes. The Johns are the people like Oprah. Oprah is the John.
Yes.
Oprah and all these capitalists are the Johns, and the state is the pimp, making a ton of money selling out the indigenous people to the capitalists. What a beautiful way to say it. Rest in peace just to this glorious freedom fighter. I'm gonna let it continue, and we're gonna move on to the current events.
Dark-skinned people on the beach. And we'll throw in a few extra added things when you come up for fire inspection. And that's the way Hawaii works. It's criminal. It's like a corrupt third world country. And it's saleable. It's sold all the time, all over the world. The governor and the mayor of the city of Honolulu travel all over the world saying, come to Hawaii, come to Hawaii. This is what we will give you if you build huge hotels, if you invest, if you speculate on land. There's no attempt really to stop that kind of speculation and to stop that kind of development and take care of the native people, none whatsoever.
So I highly suggest, because I went on the binge, as you guys see. I was very interested in learning more about the position of the indigenous Hawaiian people. I knew generally about it, but Hawani K. Trask is incredible. Like, she's like a Glenn Ford type character for Hawaiian people. I highly recommend listening to that whole speech and even this entire video. So now let's move on. After I show you that, I know that was a long preface, but I did that for a reason. Because now here's the pimp again, CJ. The Hawaii governor says the state is looking to purchase land destroyed in Maui wildfires. So not only do you have that, you have all these stories where you have the water was shut off during this fire. There's people reporting how they try to use a fire hose and the water wasn't coming out. Now the reports that they cut out the water. And then you have, and I'll pull these receipts up here very soon.
This is I'm gonna coin this phrase. This is disaster gentrification. That's what this is. It's gentrifying the land after disaster. This happened with Katrina, where they cleared. Just think about, you can either do it the old way, stop and frisk and get people out of Harlem. That's harder. Or after a natural disaster, get everybody out like Katrina, and then just don't build back for those people to come back. That's gentrification done in a very short amount of time, like this here. Go ahead.
Yeah, so here's the receipt. I thought I had it saved. Thank God I could find it quickly. I'm gonna find the other receipt where the Maui residents, they're reporting that they wasn't allowed to use, their water was shut off. Not only did this security system, this alert system that was praised as the best security system in the world, it failed. Not only did that fail, the water was cut off. Not only was the water cut off, Maui residents say utility trucks blocked roads as they tried to flee. And now there's also reporting of people, of emergency workers, policemen, blocking escape routes. So, as CJ said, capitalism will always take advantage of a tragedy. I see all this shit, and to me, it's not even a question that they are complicit in this in some way. You guys are careless with electricity and allow this fire to start, and then as the fire started, like, we got it. We've been waiting for this, an excuse. We were waiting for a disaster to strike. So if you want to make a more toned down argument than the one I'm making, you can say this: disaster happens and capitalists will take advantage of it no matter what. So they're going to make it worse, and they're going to try to make it the most profitable situation possible, whether they start the fire or not. But you see all these headlines. How can you believe in the official narrative when you see them reporting only 90 people die, and you have people reporting that it was in the hundreds, and the media is lying to people, and they were forced to start reporting on the accurate numbers because it was becoming so ridiculous. There's definitely some shit going on. But go ahead,
Shutting off the warning system is akin to the prison who shut off the cameras during Epstein. You think this is akin? So now go back to the Hawaii thing. So for those, what do you mean, the government? Let's take a little bit of the quote unquote conspiracy out of it. All you have to do is do what they did with 9/11. You see something coming bad, you know what's coming. You could do something to stop it, and you just go, turn off the warning system. The natural disaster happened on its own, and you just shut off the warning system so all this damage could happen. Then you turn off the water, force and block the roads to force the people to stay there and suffer. And then as they suffer, what are they going to be more likely to do? Well, we might as well go ahead and sell so we can get the hell up out of here.
Yep.
Go ahead.
This is look how smart climate change is, CJ. And I'm gonna read that story about the water soon. The fires in Maui seem to know how to avoid the millionaire properties. Man, climate change is smart, CJ. Look at this. That is one industrial ass fire. That is a smart ass fire that's looking out for the bottom line, man. You guys see this shit? You guys don't think? You guys have no question. Look at this shit. Over 2,000 acres was spared, and the fire dodged this area. Get the fuck out of here, fam. And I'm scared YouTube I'll punish her for this. So I gotta be careful here. But get the fuck out of here with this shit. Now look at this. A state official refused to release water for West Maui fires until it was too late. Remember the what Hawani K. Trash just told you guys. Remember what I just showed you guys. Do you guys really believe that this is a coincidence? Now you got the government offering to buy this land for pennies on the dollar. Now you got capitalists that are making offers to these people to buy the houses to penny on the dollar because they are in coordination with each other. They serve each other class interest, right? So as this Maui disaster happens, you had Joe Biden that finally announced that he's going to visit after taking a beating in the media, especially after saying that he had no comment on this issue. So he's visiting here soon. He will travel to Maui on August 21st. And I am pleading with people to boo this motherfucker. He's offering to give people $700, not per person, CJ, per household. As our government is paying for the salary of Ukrainian government officials at the same week where they gave 2 times more than they get to the disaster relief. So to wrap the segment up, I'll just play my video on Biden and the liberal hypocrisy on this horrible. This is his Hurricane Katrina moment. So this is how I'm gonna end the segment. I'll pass to you for last thoughts. And I have one more quick segment. Like this segment I have not gonna be too long after this. But let me play the video and we can wrap up this.
In a rational society, Joe Biden will be finished after how he handled the Maui disaster. So we have the most deadly fire in United States history that killed hundreds and maybe 1,000+ people in Hawaii. But Joe Biden can't even take time to comment on it. Can you imagine how liberals would have melted down if Donald Trump, when asked about the Puerto Rican hurricane under his watch, said no comment? It doesn't help that as this crisis was unfolding, the Biden administration approved of another $24 billion to Ukraine. Meanwhile, Joe Biden sent half the money that he sent to Ukraine to disaster relief in Hawaii. You can't make this up, fam. They are literally telling you to your face they don't care about you. So as Joe Biden and the United States government is paying for the salaries of Ukrainian government officials, the United States is only sending $700 to Maui fire victims. The U.S. response has been so horrible that Maui residents have been forced to organize themselves and take care of themselves because the government doesn't care about them. Maybe if they would have named Maui Ukraine, maybe they would have got Joe Biden.
Any last thoughts on this video?
Yeah, you know what? This is the part where it's hard. Sometimes it's hard for people to grasp the corruption of our government. Yeah. Like with this story, you be like, wait, well, what? Why are they doing this? Because they're corrupt, garbage capitalists.
Yeah, no idea.
And at any point, I just don't. We have to understand the tradition, the sort of demeanor of these people. The same people that can, chop off people's limbs and rape people and force people to have sex to produce more slave children. That's the DNA that's passed down. That's the DNA. So is it so far-fetched that the same people would allow planes to fly into 9/11, would allow this fire to happen in order to gain some sort of capitalist advantage? I mean, they're willing to kill 500,000 Iraqis. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you for this to be believable.
I don't know why people will look at past evidence Because what a scientifically minded person do, you look at past evidence and you see what that will support the current claim. You have the United States government who committed genocide on multiple people, including indigenous people, encoded the black codes, lynched thousands and thousands and thousands of black people. They killed at least 2.5 million Iraqis, genocide in Yemen, murdered millions of socialists and workers in South America. But you guys don't think they would do this in Hawaii? You guys don't think they would do this shit? Like, you gotta look at past evidence.
Yeah.
They put sanctions on Iraq in the 90s that killed a quarter of a million children in their sanctions. And when asked about it, they said it was worth it. It was worth it. That is the psychopath we are dealing with. And especially considering the history with the Hawaiian indigenous people, I definitely believe that they are possible to do that.
Yeah, I never got around to getting to it, but I was gonna do a I Am the Revolution episode on the Queen of Hawaii and how she was taken down. So I'm probably gonna have to. I'm probably gonna revisit that and do that.
You can do it however you want, but it would be good to have an indigenous Hawaiian, maybe one or two guests. That can maybe
we should work on that. Let's work on doing some joint with that and just kind of giving a history, because it's pretty fascinating. Pretty much some white capitalist men came in there and took over Hawaii. That's literally what happened to Hawaii. They took over just like any indigenous people, Nick, just like Africa. You see a stranger, you want to be welcome. You're nice. And hey, we come in peace. And oh, they don't do that. Oh, fuck that shit. We taking this shit, motherfucker. That's literally what has happened in every place that they have gone, these capitalists. So, but yeah, that's my final word.
Yeah. So CJ, I have one story. This story not gonna be long. This is a quick story.
And then I got one story. I got one story that's also short.
All right.
But
so yeah, we can do those last stories. Yeah.
Remember, we're gonna revisit the AOC. That's the short story I'm talking about. I just want to revisit the AOC story, and then that'll be it.
Yeah, that works. This story not gonna be long. We can wrap up the next two stories in super chats. But I want to cover this because this is another example of the Biden administration and the Democratic Party being anti-labor. I know you guys been hearing how Joe Biden is the most pro-labor president in modern American history. Well, for example, means nothing, by the way. Absolutely means nothing. That statement could be true or false. Whether it's true or whether it's false, it means nothing because he is a net negative for the working class. So during his campaign, Joe Biden said he wouldn't give federal contracts to union busters. You guys remember that? And then you had Amazon, who is the largest union buster in this country, bringing up the Amazon union. But then Joe Biden, Democratic Party, gave them contracts, correct? And we all know that Joe Biden is famous for the rail strike. He broke the rail strike. And you have liberals that apologize and act like fucking scabs to this day. Where they're like, well, you know, Joe Biden negotiates the vacation day, blah, blah. You know how much shit the workers could have got, considering how much was on the line? He robbed them of their negotiation power. AOC, Bernie Sanders, and the squad robbed them of their negotiation power. The Democratic Party is the enemy of labor and unions. So not only is he backing and supporting union busters, helping helping the capitalist class break labor. Look at this. Look at this, fam. So the DNC National Convention named a co-chair today. Here is Minion Moore. Minion Moore works for a public relations firm called Dewey Square. Dewey Square works with corporations like Lyft and other union busters to squash their union and block labor laws. So she's the chief executive at this public relations firm that blocks labor laws and help bust unions. And she was just named the chair of the DNC convention, DJ. You can't make this shit up, fam. You can't. This is the most pro-labor president. They could have chose anybody, and they chose the union buster. So Lyft paid her over $10 million, CJ. You guys remember the big controversy between Lyft treating their workers like shit? They wasn't making minimum wage. They wasn't getting time off. they were sued by the attorney general in Massachusetts, who just so happened to be a Democrat. They sued them. So then Lyft went on a massive public relation campaign, paid these people to help overturn and drop the lawsuit. Then they teamed up with a bunch of lawmakers who was paid off by Lyft and these other capitalists, and they eventually got the lawsuit turned out. And they also blocked a labor law that would have went after Lyft. This labor law made it so that Lyft had to force, instead of acknowledging their employees as independent contractors, they got to be employees so they can get worker benefits. So they worked together to block that law, and Lyft paid her and her organization to help them do it. So Joe Biden and the Democratic Party chose her to be lead of the DNC. So here's the headline. That's my explanation. I may butcher it, but I'll read the headline, sub-headline. Democratic National Convention chair firms helps companies block labor laws. The Dewey Square Group, where many and more leads the state and local affairs, was paid millions of dollars last year by Lyft funded industry group fighting state labor protections. So I'll just read the first paragraph here, and another part that's relevant. Biden has a go-to line in speeches where he say he's the most pro-union president you ever seen. Next year's DNC convention, though, will be ran by an executive at a public affairs firm that is helping companies such as Lyft and Tenet Healthcare fight labor protections. So this is the part, I did the last part I read on here. Last year, DSG, where she works at, scored a 7-figure payday from his client Lyft as part of a Massachusetts campaign to prevent state lawmakers from classifying gig workers as independent contractors. Then you had the Attorney General, Maura Healey, a Democrat who was elected governor last year, brought a suit. They sued Uber and Lyft in 2020, arguing that the company were violating labor laws by treating drivers as independent contractors and accusing them of unfair and exploitative labor contracts. So I actually want to click this link here because I didn't see this link here. This is the Attorney General. They issued a statement. Oh, so I did read this. Lyft and Uber attempted to strike down a lawsuit, and the Attorney General sided against Lyft. So in response to this, Lyft and other countries, might well be countries, but Lyft and other companies launched a public influence campaign following the playbook the company had developed with high-spending California ballot initiative campaign and a New York lobbying push, supported a proposed Massachusetts ballot initiative that would classify app-based drivers as independent contractors, among other policies. So then they go on to explain how they actually got the lawsuit against them thrown out, and they also blocked the labor protection that was going to benefit the Lyft drivers. And she is the chief executive of this organization, and now she's going to be part of the DNC. And this is her profile on DSG, and this is what they call themselves. So DSG is an organization that works with corporations to break strikes and destroy labor laws. Minion is considered. Minion is actually a very, that's not how you say it, but actually a very fitting name. Minion.
Minion.
Her name is Minion. I'm saying it wrong. Her name is Minion. But I might as well call her a minion because she's a minion of the capitalist government. Minion is considered one of the nation's top strategic thinkers with extensive experience in political and corporate affairs, as well as public policies. She leads DSG, state and local affairs, and multicultural strategies. So CJ, breaking strikes and breaking labor laws is multicultural now.
Wow.
And this is the last part, this is not a long story. This is the last part of the story. So you have this union buster, this person who lobbied against labor laws in Massachusetts. You have Joe Biden, who broke the rail strike and giving federal contracts to union busters. So unions are surely going to protest the DNC convention, right? Right? Nope. Union leaders done it once again. So as the Democratic Party anoint an anti-labor person as the DNC convention chair, unions reached an agreement with Democrats where they will have a ceasefire. They're going to have a ceasefire where they will not have any picket signs or protests at the DNC convention. This is unbelievable.
Wow.
This is union leaders selling out workers once again. And my question is, why the hell would anyone agree to this? You had Joe Biden, one of the most anti-labor presidents we have seen, breaking strikes. You had the Democratic Party that is anti-labor and anti-worker, and you have them in a position where you can grab them by the balls, CJ. It's the DNC convention. Everyone's going to be covering it. When is there a better time for labor to protest than Democrats who betray labor, other than the DNC convention? So labor union leaders said ceasefire where they're not going to protest them. They say, "Oh, we promise we won't protest. We will do our work." There will be a lot of union workers that will do their work with no protest. How does this benefit the worker movement at all? Especially, and they made this agreement knowing they was going to pick Minnie and Moore, the anti-labor leader.
Yes, because she would get protested against. Yeah, so they knew that.
Yeah, so that's my short story. This is just
we're gonna change that. We're gonna change that, Tom Hartmann, David Sirota.
Yes.
We just gotta get in the Democratic Party to change this corruption. It is truly, I mean, it's good and bad. And the good part of it is that it's giving us an opportunity to point out yet again the corruption of this party and possibly influence somebody to Dem exit. So, I mean, that's how we have to look at this, is that we just have to keep, because it feels like, Nick, sometimes it feels like, man, we're turning a corner. Feels like we're getting all the information out. And it's like, man, there go a bunch of pile more of propaganda we got to fucking attack. It's like, damn, it's like it feels never ending. And that's it feels never ending. Let's read a couple of super chats and then we'll do the final story of with AOC, because I'm curious to get your response on the story, and I got a couple more takes I want to add. So we can do some super chats.
Yeah, their governor just put moratorium on selling to private equity. Very interesting. Let's see if I can find this, because Eric said I missed one of his super chats. Oh yeah, I think this one. Maybe this one. Did you see Jimmy's Obama sketch? No, I haven't seen it. I haven't been watching a ton of independent media lately.
You know how he does those little telephone sketches where supposedly the person calls in. I think that's what he's talking about, the telephone sketch with him on that.
Yeah, hopefully that's the only one I see that was Mark Eric. Maybe this one, but I think I've read this one. Yeah, I did read that one. So, I had because I know you broke down this article, and Jacobin keeps posting it, and they keep getting ratio.
Yeah, I saw your comment today too. So it'd be good, because I was going to bring it up too. So if you're going to bring it up, that's good. Go ahead.
So I had I'm trying to find, because I posted some screenshots on Twitter, just going through this nonsense, because there was been pretty much they got destroyed. Like Branko destroyed his credibility. I actually went back and looked at a lot of his articles. And at least I didn't go back his entire career. I went back maybe the last 6 or 7 articles. If you look, there's not a ton of shit liberty there, right? Like he was covering labor issues, some other shit. So this article dropped, and people were like, Branko, what the fuck, man? And we've been telling you people, don't trust the Jacobin writer, professional managerial class people. It's easy to sound radical, but what's your solution? You motherfucker write great articles on labor issues, because I was like, I want to see what this motherfucker been writing about, and you won't find a lot of the testable shit. And that's what the PMC do. They'll talk about issues. They'll talk about issues in a good way, but then their strategy and their assessment of their own community, the professional managerial class like AOC, is woefully lacking. So my response to this article, I'll pass to you, CJ, because this is my opinion of this in a nutshell, is that this is why I told you guys that Jacobin, AOC, Bernie Sanders and the squad exists to shift what it means to be a socialist to the right. You guys want to know what this article says in a nutshell? Yes, I know AOC. He has to make omissions, because he think by making omissions that it somehow makes up for the fact that he's not consistent. He's like, yeah, I admit I admit she voted for the Ukraine war. Yeah, I admit she broke the strike. But no, just because you admit, if you admit that, I mean, you understand that our argument is correct about her, that she's an imperialist. So what they were trying to do, they were trying to water down what it means to be a socialist. Being a socialist means resisting the imperialist empire at all costs. And for one, and this shouldn't even have to be said, being a socialist means you don't break strikes ever. Like, does that have to be said? So you guys see how this person will cause people who are implementing purity tests, right? But in this article, he admits that AOC is quite impure. So I'm asking you guys, how does his rhetoric serve the working class? How does supporting impure, corrupt politicians benefit us? There's a point in the article, I saw you cover it, where he like, yeah, I know AOC voted president on the Iron Dome, but she said some good things about Israel-Palestine. She signed a letter on Israel-Palestine, right? So, Branko, I am asking you this question. How does it serve the Palestinian movement to have an inconsistent politician? That's exactly what we need, CJ. The one thing that we need is an inconsistent politician. So this is what I put out. So they said AOC and the squad should be criticized when needed, but don't criticize them on stuff that really matter. But left-wing vitriol is unwarranted. You guys see how they use civility politics and tone policing to shield their own class? And I say that because they don't take this mindset with us, fam.
At all. Whatsoever.
You see how when they address RBN, we are grifters, we are fucking LARPers. Jimmy Dore is a right-wing racist. You guys see how they advocate for grace for the ruling class, but your neighbor is a red, brown, and lions racist redneck that you should never work with. You guys see what they give grace to? So we give grace to AOC, but you guys want us to hate our neighbors, right? And another concept, I know I'm ranting here, but I had a lot to say on this article, is I am challenging the professional managerial class on their moral litmus test. So let me explain what I mean on the next part when I read it. Because listen, this is the part I want to explain. I'll pass to you, CJ, because this is the most damning part, right? It was this, and also the part where he mentioned the Ukraine war. That's in the beginning. We can put that up later. But he said the lion's share of this ire has been trained on AOC, who faced relentless criticism since winning office from all sides, sometimes over substantive issues, once failing to show up for an Amazon Union rally and casting a vote that denied rail workers the ability to strike. Oh, yeah, she just broke a strike. And it's sometimes like her rhetoric and the positioning of her hands while being arrested. You guys see what they're trying to tie her breaking a strike, which is a critical sin for a socialist, with other right-wing or other ridiculous criticism of AOC, right? So they said people complain about her rhetoric. I told you guys before, I wouldn't give a fuck if she does a PSA for sunscreen if she votes against the Ukraine war. This is my personal position. If she was siding with workers, I wouldn't care if she does cringe shit. It's the fact that she does stuff that is a sin. So this is my last point. I passed to you, CJ. In response to this, and there's another part in the article, actually I'll pull it up, I think you linked it, where they mentioned the Ukraine war in the same kind of passing way. I believe it's in the very beginning. This part is also very telling when they say they are savage these days from the left as they are from the right. Popular YouTube commentators regularly denounce them as sellouts.
Yes. Nick, you think it's a coincidence? Nick, this is like the fourth article they're talking about YouTube creators influencing the left. Who do you think they're talking about?
Who do you think they're talking about? Actually, I think it's in the foreign policy part. Critics have pointed to
anti-imperialist assist. When I read that caption, I think I was with Misty. She started dying laughing.
I saw your coverage.
Like, anti-imperialist assist. Go ahead.
Yeah, your Misty coverage was amazing. That's why I just want to say this one last part. Because I am challenging their moral litmus test. And I have made a public challenge to debate literally anyone in the professional managerial class on this. I actually was trying to find this guy email. I couldn't find an email. I was about to reach out to this guy, like, dude, come on our show and explain this shit to me. I swear to God, I am open to debate any of these people on this. So he said, yeah, she's aiding a proxy war against a nuclear armed country that is destabilizing the global markets. Come on, man. Come on, man. Yeah, she only escalated nuclear war. Yeah, the doomsday clock is closer to doomsday than it's ever been, but So my question is, I'm testing your moral compass here, professional manager. Imagine if AOC was a rank homophobe. Imagine, I'm not talking about someone who had random passive statements. I'm talking about someone who was calling gay people groomers, retweeting. What? Imagine AOC was retweeting libs of TikTok. Imagine she was like, man, the trans movement has gone too far. I'm tired of these trans people making the LGBT community look bad. Imagine if AOC said that. Would these articles be written in a way where, oh, yeah, she's a homophobe. Yeah, she's a homophobe. Who cares? They would never say that. If someone was a homophobic person, which I generally agree with, they are considered irredeemable, right? But if you are pro-war, you You guys see how I am directly challenging these people on their red flags and their moral consistency. Because I stand in solidarity with our gay brothers and sisters, or JB Fonts and our other LGBT family and friends, right? But I am just as outraged when people get the issue as war right as you fucking shit libs are when people get your social issues wrong. Can you imagine the Jacobin left and the Bernie Sanders left promoting an anti-homophobic bigot just because he was supporting Medicare for all? Oh, come on, man. Yeah, I know he said gay people are disgusting. Yeah, I know he said that, but come on, man. He support Medicare for all. They would never do that. So why is the red line not anti-imperialist shit? Why is the red line not police state shit? You guys see how this fundamentally did not vibe with me? And I am challenging this. I am challenging people to explain this to me. Why do you guys draw the line of saying the way that you do? Imagine
you know what essentially. You know what essentially it is, Nick. What essentially it is that it's the milquetoast stuff that you got mad about, that you got you triggered. The beta simps. That's who they are. You notice the issues they're willing to be whatever about are issues that you got to go to war with. Palestine, the police state, the military industrial complex. They ain't trying to do that, man. They want to fight nicely and then go home and have their lattes, and that's what they want to do. They ain't trying to really go fighting at all.
To that point, CJ,
and I want to, go ahead.
No, go ahead. My last point. I passed it to you because I think I said this before, but this is the perfect way to explain it. These people consider themselves leftists. They consider themselves socialists, and they will never admit it, but they get their moral cues from the Democratic Party. They get their moral cues from the Democratic Party. So what is socially unacceptable in the Democratic Party, that is their red line. So if you was an anti-abortion, but you pro-Medicare for all, that's the red line. They will smear you as red, brown all day. If you was a homophobic bigot, they would cancel you, right? Because that's within the moral framework of the Democratic Party. But the Democratic Party support the Ukraine war. That's why supporting the Ukraine war is not a red line for them. Right. You guys see how they take the moral framework from the DNC? They will never admit it, though. They think they're being radical. But I remember, like, Jimmy Dore get right to the coals for his conversations about the trans community, right? And they considered him above the pale, right? Meanwhile, they support imperialists. And these are the things I just don't understand, right? They get their moral framework from the DNC and the Democratic Party. It had nothing to do with liberation or anything.
Which is the reason why they can't be reliable allies. This is the reason why they are flipping on things. This is the reason why they backtrack. This is the reason why you can create a video called Kyle Kulinski versus Kyle Kulinski.
Yeah,
these are all of sort of the reasons. But a couple of points I wanted to make is that this article, if you haven't read it, it's all of what Nick has already said. And I just want to add a couple of things. This analogy, it's like taking a crumb. This article takes a crumb. Let's say what the squad has done, and AOC has done, their accomplishments is a crumb. And what they did is takes that crumb down to the local FedEx Kinko, blow that shit up into a poster, and they go, look what the squad has done. But they're putting up, this is the only way to make it seem like it's equal to the stuff they've done bad. Because the stuff they've done bad, Nick, is poster size. It didn't need to be blown up. That's the actual size. You get what I'm saying? The size of their bad shit is this article is trying to make it seem like these little bit of crumbs that they've done, literally stuff that most of us have never even probably heard that was done. That's how small these things they're trying to make. But another thing this article does, Nick, and this is one of the first articles I'm seeing this sort of pivot. Now, the accomplishments they're listing is just them existing, Nick. Just the existence, just AOC existing in the Democratic Party is enough for what she does, is enough to support her. Just her existing, and they're trying to say that her existing has all of these sort of domino effects. It makes people do this. It makes people believe this. It makes people talk about these things. Just very non-tangible sort of things they bring up in this article. And another thing this article does, which I find very curious, and is what the professional managerial class does. You read one part where they point out, yeah, one of the big things that she did, because when they say there's big things she did that people, and then there's little petty things. One of the big things in your own article, Jacobin, was her not showing up to Amazon. But later in the article, Nick, they flip it and give her credit and saying she's an asset to Amazon unions. They literally say the opposite in the same article. Yep. But if you're not paying attention, you're not going to catch that. And that's what a lot of the professional managerial class depend on, you not knowing all of the information and not paying attention. It's totally.
And they also mentioned a few times letters that they wrote. And you guys made fun of them for that.
That's another one. Yeah.
And I was making fun of them on that as well. Because they were like, yeah, LC voted for the Ukraine war. Yeah, she voted president on the Iron Dome. But you know, she wrote a sternly written letter to Trump, weren't asking him to end the Yemen war. They brought that up. They brought up that letter that Bernie Sanders, AOC, and them they wrote regarding the Yemen war and Donald Trump. What they do not include is the fact that they allowed Joe Biden to continue the Yemen genocide, and they put no public pressure on Joe Biden while he was doing this. In fact, it was China that ended the Yemen genocide when they brokered a peace deal between Saudi Arabia and Iran. Bernie Sanders and the squad had nothing to do with it. That was all China, fam. We covered that on this show. China ended the Yemenis war and created a ceasefire in the region. And now Jacobin like, hey, you know, Bernie Sanders and AOC wrote a letter, and now the Yemen war is over. No, they had nothing to fucking do with it, you scumbag. It was against CJ.
They do that a lot.
If you don't follow this shit, how will you catch that lie? How will you? I am a nerd. We follow this shit every single day. We report on shit every day. The average person is not catching these lies, because how will you catch that? Do you think, oh shit, she got the Yemen war ended? She wrote a letter against Ukraine war, even though they rescinded it, right? You know what I mean? So they are such disgusting propagandists because of that. Like almost like MSNBC is clown shit compared to this, because no one, unless you are entrenched into the news like we are, is gonna be seeing this shit. They be like, oh man, I thought AOC was a sellout, but maybe this guy kind of making some good points. But we know it's bullshit. You know what I mean? So I hope that's
the reason why. That's the reason why it's so important for us to cover these things. Yeah. That's why we have so much to cover. That's why we have these stories pile up, is because we are so like man, we can't let this lies go unchallenged.
Yeah.
We need to.
It did
get
for a long
out
time,
there.
CJ.
Yes,
For a long time
Yes.
before RBN, before our friends, the post-duopoly left channel started to rise, which is very recently. These people said their propaganda completely unchallenged. The only time they will get challenged if liberal challenged them on dumb shit that made them sound good. You know what I mean? It would be the Hillary Clinton versus Bernie Wing struggle. That's the only time they had a challenge. They never had anyone from their left criticizing their nonsense. They will repeat anti-communist, social democrat dogma unchallenged, and they did it for years before RBN. But let's continue, CJ.
All right, yeah. So I do want to read the last section. It's not the last section, but the last part of this article. We surmised the bulk of the article because it's a pretty long article. But this last part is very triggering. So let's read a couple of parts of it. So
Yeah,
they're
I hear
trying
you,
to.
CJ.
Yeah, go ahead. They're trying to address despair. They will call what we talk about here on RBN, Nick, as despair, like how we talk about electoral politics and a Democratic Party. This is despair. It's defeatism. That's how they would describe it. And this is Jacobin addressing that. AOC and the rest of the squad are elected officials. There's any number of criticisms of their time in Congress that are fair, reasonable, and necessary, including over key votes they've been on the wrong side on. Times they've failed to stand with unions. Like, that's their version of saying they broke a strike. You see how they soften the language? And then it says, and their failure to, as promised, fully take advantage of their leverage they had under the Democrats' formerly slim House. They're talking about how they refused to do force to vote. That's what they're talking about here. Left-wing scrutiny of the squad, and particularly AOC, has steadily veered off, Nick, from constructive criticism and needed pressure to a kind of caricaturish vitriol. Like, our vitriol is so like over the top, Nick, that it's almost like cartoon-like to them. Go ahead.
Well, CJ, once again, I'm challenging them on this. And I'm going to ask them this if they ever accept the debate with me, which they will not. How will you communicate with someone who enthusiastically endorsed Donald Trump? Will you handle them with kids' gloves? Would the NATO left, with the progressives, imagine how they will react if Jimmy Dore did a video coming out endorsing Donald Trump? Can you imagine the videos that will come from the Jimmy Dore media industrial complex? So if someone endorsed Donald Trump, that worth vitriol. But AOC endorsing Joe Biden, who funding ICE more than Donald Trump, that's not worth vitriol.
That's what I
So what I said on RBN and what we said on RBN, CJ, is I'm treating Biden voters the same way that progressives treat Trump supporters. And since we did that, they are in shambles. They're like, no, we making the calculated decision. No, your decision, in my opinion, and it's based on the facts, is the same as voting for Donald Trump. You guys said you was for abolishing ICE. You guys did so many infomercials, so many videos, so many tweets talking about the horrific crimes of ICE. And I have a report I'm going to do later this week where Biden's ICE is worse than Trump's. There was another probe that found Biden's ICE committing massive human rights violations. This article literally just came out yesterday, CJ. I still haven't finished reading it all. Like, this is fresh on the press. Biden's ICE is worse than Trump's ICE. They committed human rights violations. I covered this story of sexual assaults being rampant under Biden's ICE, and Biden gave us $6 billion more than Donald Trump. So, what would your reaction be if RBN enthusiastically endorsed Donald Trump? Y'all niggas would destroy us. Meanwhile, he is saying that you should not have vitriol for AOC, who endorsed Jim Crow Joe, the most anti-black politician in modern American history. We should not have vitriol for a person who's funding our mortal enemies as communists, Nazis and Ukrainians. Nazis are the mortal enemies of socialists and communists. So let alone the history. We talk about the history, the Minsk Accord and all that shit. I told you guys one of the reasons I immediately got this issue right, because I'm like, as a communist, as a Marxist, on principle, it didn't matter if Ukraine was fucking right or wrong. A principle of a Marxist and a socialist is that you never, ever, ever, ever enable our enemies, which is Nazis. So that alone is worth ire, but not according to him. But God forbid you have a homophobic tweet that you tweeted when you were 11 years old that surfaced from 2010. If that happens, your ass is canceled, though. But go ahead, CJ.
It's such a good point that you make, that it's all about the democratic framing. Democratic framing is what is allowed. But I'll continue. Left-wing scrutiny of the squad, and particularly AOC, has steadily veered off from constructive criticism and needed pressure to a kind of caricature vitriol, one that magnifies the ways they've fallen short while saying nothing about their accomplishments nor their usefulness to activists and workers' movement, because they're not useful to activists or workers. They're not. In this article, you mentioned that yourself, Jacobin, and then this part here. You talk about their shortcuts. So, Nick, we're supposed to, at the same time when we challenge Joe Biden's ICE, you're supposed to turn around and also say what Joe Biden has done good at the same time. That is so stupid. But you know who else have recently been talking about this? Kyle Kulinski. Kyle Kulinski, in the video where he debates Freddie DeBauer on that article that he wrote that AOC is just another Democrat or something like that. He debates. He says, is the Bernie Sanders movement dead? He uses the same talking point in that debate. But I continue. Sometimes you suspect the most unfair criticism has taken their anger. Sometimes you suspect that the most unfair critics, they're talking about us, Nick, have taken their anger and frustration at the conservative corporate control political system in which they have to operate and simply redirected it at the Congresswoman herself. So they're saying, we're really just mad at the Republicans, Nick. We're really just pissed off at what Matt Gaetz is doing and Marjorie Taylor Greene, and we don't know what to do with that anger, and we are just landed at the doorstep of the progressives, which is just ridiculous. It's, you know what the article in this sort of thinking says? That you don't have the right to get furiously angry over money being sent to Nazis. You don't have the right to get violently angry over supporting the Iron Dome or supporting the genocidal state of Israel. Is that if you get too out of line with your vitriol, then that becomes toxic. So what should our response, what would they have been saying, Nick, if we were getting very violently angry over slavery? You're too mad, man. Come on, man. You're being a cartoon character with your anger. But I continue.
These people need to read Letter from a Birmingham Jail from Martin Luther King Jr. and realize he's talking about you guys. Where he said the number one enemy is not these hardcore racist white people that's denying us civil rights. It's you liberals that are telling us to calm down and accept our oppression and using civility politics to mute our movement. And that is what he's doing here. CJ, this article is essentially one big diary post of him complaining that we were too mean to AOC. Why you gotta be so mean to her? This is the definition of toxic positivity and why civility politics and tone policing is the enemy of working class movements.
Here's the last part of the article. This is literally the last 4 or 5 sentences. What's at stake isn't the feelings of one member of Congress or even the squad's career, but the health. This is where they got the audacity. You know what's at stake, Nick? The health of socialists and broader progressive movements. How dare you? How dare you? So socialists, Nick, this is their logic. It's about the health of socialism and socialists. Socialists
have read no
criticizing.
Theory.
That's what you're getting where I'm getting to. Socialists, like theory read socialists, who are criticizing pseudo-socialists. That is about the health. Isn't that about the health of? Aren't we doing that because we want to solidify the health uphold the health of socialism by criticizing the pseudo-socialists is explicitly the opposite of what they're saying here. Go ahead, Nick. I think you want to.
No, CJ, you're right. I was just agreeing. But we all know that socialist movements are a top-down experiment, right? How dare you criticize those on top? You guys know that Lenin was a famous debate bro. I explained this on the show many times. Like Lenin, he was notorious for calling out people who got the Marxist-Leninist movement theory incorrect. He would call them frauds. You know, the same thing that people say, oh, RBN, why are you guys calling people out? Because that's the same thing that Lenin used to do. They used to have fierce debates in the civil rights protests. You had the people who were further to the left, like you had Malcolm X, who was extremely critical of MLK around pre-1963 because MLK and Malcolm X reconciled, and MLK acknowledged that Malcolm X had a lot of legitimate points and a lot of legitimate criticisms over the movement, and that's when MLK became more militant, so they killed his ass. That's the story. They whitewashed and changed that story a lot. But that's what happened. And the criticism that came from Malcolm X came from a culture where if you were in the civil rights movement, but you been fucking milquetoast, they was calling your ass out for that. There was a lot of tension. This get missed in history. There's a lot of tension between the revolutionary aspects of the civil rights movement and the more reformist liberal side. It's something that is widely missed in Black history. And that is the same culture that we're continuing to this day. We calling out all these fraudulent socialists, all these NATO leftists, all these Black Congressional Caucus sellouts, because that is our revolutionary tradition. But Thom Hartmann and these people want nothing more than to kill that because they believe in top-down approaches. That's my final thought. But go ahead, CJ.
Because the reason they believe in top-down approaches is because they believe the people at the top are the smarter ones. That's what they believe. So let's continue. Again, this is the final couple of sentences here. The left pessimism embodied, and this is where they refer to the article. There's been such a fallout of the Freddie Dubauer article, like Bad Faith podcast, although she wasn't contentious about it. She was like kind of on his side. Bad Faith had him on. Circular Talk had him on. Katie Halper had him on. There's a lot of fallout about this article, but it says, the left pessimism embodied by the New York Magazine profile, which argues explicitly that socialists have nothing to show for 5 years of electoral victories and that the whole experiment should be abandoned. That's our same approach, our same critique, is a recipe for despair, Nick, apathy, and in the end, demobilization. Apathy. Yes, demobilization, which may already have a trickle-down effect. Go ahead, Nick.
Oh, Jesus Christ. You could not get a worse sentence than that, right? So he's claiming that the experiment of having socialists in the Democratic Party was successful. That's the inverse what he's arguing. But if you look at the status of the working class, look at all these videos of people saying they can't afford to live. You got 60% of workers living paycheck to paycheck. You got millions. There was a 11% increase in homelessness, a record increase over the last 25 years, ever since they've been measuring the stack. A record increase in homelessness, fam, last year. A record increase in homelessness, millions of people off their health care, tons of people not affording to live. But according to Thom Hartmann, this is something that socialists should view as a victory. What the fuck? How is that a victory for a socialist movement? It is not. And he also says, by acknowledging the reality that the working class following this failed Justice Democrat experience, that will lead to apathy. Fam, who has more revolutionary optimism than the RBN community? Who engaged in the mutual aid? I gave a speech at Worker Strike Back. I traveled halfway across the country just to motivate people to get more involved. I got a community event I ran this month. RBN is putting the work. Thom Hartmann and his class is not. So what they are literally projecting upon us, they are telling on themselves when they say they're demobilization. And I saw Crystal Ball, and I critiqued her for this as well. When they said, well, the online left is not doing anything. You guys are talking about yourselves. We out here. We doing the goddamn thing. We running mutual aid organizations. Yeah, Rome, just in Jackson, Mississippi. Hey, Thom Hartmann, do you have Rome on to interview him? How many professional managerial classes are doing spotlights on Rome and the amazing work he's doing for the community? So what you're doing, you're lying. The left is mobilized. You're not. You're attached to the Democratic Party. Your organizing is based on the Democratic Party. The Democrat, we all protest the Supreme Court. Who want to go? I'm going. You guys doing nothing revolutionary, nothing outside the Democratic Party, and then they project that on people who are right on the issues. They have no other criticisms of us other than pretending that we're not doing stuff, even though that's factually inaccurate. You guys know that RBN at America for Our March, we had 5 speakers. What other channel organization, small organization, had much representation? You had Rome ran America for Our March in Detroit. He had his own rally. Sabby gave a speech in Boston. I gave a speech in Kansas City. Right? Who out there more than RBN? Not a goddamn person, but they're pretending that we are. Isn't that something?
Now I think about it, yeah, we all attended something. Even our, the older members, we all were at some sort of event. Yeah, JB was at one.
Yeah, my speech is still on YouTube.
Yeah, you gave a speech. Rome gave a speech. Sabby was at one. I was at the one with Jimmy Dore
was there when she was a member.
Yeah, like that's crazy, and nobody else is doing that. But let me finish up the article.
Yeah.
Okay, so which argues explicitly that socialists have nothing to show for 5 years of electoral victories and that the whole experiment should be abandoned, is a recipe for despair, apathy, and in the end, demobilization, which may already have been having a trickle-down effect, meaning they're acknowledging that, yes, they're seeing that this shit is, donations are drying up, people aren't participating. It's self-defeating, possibly self-fulfilling prophecy that threatens to undermine socialist gains. What socialist gains have we had? What are you talking about? Ironically, at the exact same time, the movement is racking up victories it hasn't seen in many decades. Okay, let me just click on this.
So how would Thom Hartmann know that if he's worth $5 million? How would he know that? Like, how would Thom Hartmann know this, guys? Why is the PNC left listening to this guy? You guys think he got his posting the hood? Nigga, CJ, is there anyone in the hood like, man, look at all these goddamn political victories we got. Nigga, we killing it right now. No one in the fucking hood is saying that.
Nobody's saying
I can't wait, because you guys know when I do my event, I'm gonna talk to people too. Because that's part of what makes mutual aid. And I'm gonna ask people like, what's going on here? Like, that's what I did when we had the diaper event. Me and Ron was talking to people. And I can't wait to give you guys my anecdotal report. So I'm gonna tell people like what's going on in your life, or how can you for rent, grocery, and I'm gonna use my position as citizen journalist to tell you guys what they said to me. And I promise you, when I go around my community, the way I'm gonna do when I help give away the school supplies, I promise you, there's not gonna be one nigga that open the door and be like, yeah, nigga, we getting hella political victories right now, bro. Shit's great for us, nigga. I promise you, there's not gonna be one response I get. And I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna tell you straight up why I hear. If someone tell me something good, I'm gonna tell you guys what he said. But I am telling you guys up front, no one's gonna say that. I already know because I talked to enough people. I was at Seattle talking to people. I mean, this is what we do. We talk to people. Meanwhile, does Thom Hartmann sound like he talked to anybody? Other people in this circle? Absolutely not.
Yeah. I think we can end it there. Today's Thursday. It's already Thursday. I just realized that. Yeah, because JB and I was just about JB and Shabby's coming up in 25 minutes. So if we have super chats, we can read a couple of super chats, make some announcements, and get up out of here. I don't think we have any.
I think we're good. I think we got super chats. I just want to promote I want to promote my action.
Yeah.
So this is the apathy. I'm gonna show you guys the apathy of our movement. Man, we are such defeatists, aren't we? But this is and I'm gonna email because I reached out to quite a few people who wanted to organize with Arbin Kansas City. So if I don't have your email already, or if you want to get involved, because I have a plan where we're gonna meet at the park and we're gonna talk. We're gonna give away a lot of stuff. So there are a few events I'm gonna hold to try to get rid of these supplies once I get them. Thus far, before the stream, I raised around $240 already. So I appreciate everyone who donated. But we only 3/4 of where our goal. I want to raise $1,000 for school supply for low-income families. And if you're in Kansas City, CJ, do you have the email? Do you have the email by chance?
Yeah, I can. I'll put it up as you talk. Yeah, I'll get it. Yeah, I'll put it up for you.
So that if you want to donate, there's the Venmo and there's the Cash App. If you're in Kansas City, email me. And I'll reach out to you. If you want to get involved, if you know anyone who needs school supplies, because once again, this is us coming together as a community. So I need you guys to email me if you want to help do school supply drives that we're going to be participating in. We're going to knock on doors and try to see who needs these school supplies. So if you want to get involved, if you want to help form this RBN community, please email us at, you guys see here, info@revblacknetwork.com. Email me and I'll respond, and I'm gonna reach out to some comrades and see how they can help. But yeah, this is what this is all about, and this is what we need to start doing. And I'm just one soldier. Something somewhat motivational. I'm one soldier, just helping school supplies. But our theory of change that people like Tom Hartmann will never understand. In order to build revolutionary movements, we had to separate ourselves from this capitalist system. So imagine if multiple people did projects like this in one community. So yes, I'm covering school supplies, but what if someone did something for food? What if someone did something for rent? Imagine if there's multiple events. Like right now, our left is so uncoordinated and this shit is not happening. But imagine there's multiple events like these popping up. We start building our own government. We're talking about sovereignty, as a Wally K. Trash talking about. We govern ourselves with our mutual aid. So yeah, I'm doing school supplies here. You do school clothes drive over here. You do this. Rome bring water to this place. Now you guys see how we build our own society. But that's a lot. We talking about community. So the only thing I can do is my part, right? You doing your part in LA. So I'm gonna try to do my part in Kansas City and hope to spur more action, because you guys gotta get in your communities, organize people who are like-minded, like we're doing, and try to make a difference. Because even if my one event here won't change much, if everyone do events like these, we got a revolutionary movement in our hands. What if we get that 15% for a third party Dr. Cornel West movement, but that 15% will all engage in shit like this? So even if they deny us on the debate stage, feel like, nigga, we got 15% of the population engaged in mutual aid. We talking about serious shit that never happened in the left before. Meanwhile, the NATO left, the Kulinski and Tom Hartmans are defeaters. You guys see the difference between us? We have a revolutionary vision. Do I think this is gonna be successful? I don't know. But I use common sense. I use scientific Marxism to find a way to build a movement based on the system that we're in right now. And I'm going to work no matter what happens. And that is what I want our mindset to be. That's my last thoughts. We have Dr. Cornel West had to reschedule, so he'll be joining us to next Monday. And Tara Reid will also be joining us. We're going to talk about some Ukraine issues as well. Tara Reid is not just a person who have a credible accusation against Joe Biden. I say this all the time. She's a fantastic geopolitical analyst. Like, her future was robbed by Joe Biden and the Democratic Party, because she would have been an amazing foreign policy activist, but that shit was ruined. So that's coming on Monday. We got a lot of great guests. A lot of people I've reached out to, but I will announce them here very soon. So I'll see you guys later. Make sure you guys tune in for a Sabby and JB show. I'll pass you CJ for any last thing you want to plug. I'll see you guys around.
Yeah, I'll shout out my item here. Where do I have it? Let me share. So same sort of thing, but it's not an event. I think the next event we're gonna do at the Long Beach chapter will probably be a diaper run for one of the housing projects here. So, but this is what I wanted to announce. We're looking for a podcast host and content creators. Same thing, doing what we're doing. We're looking for people to add some more content to one of our RBN channels. So it may not be on this main channel, it might be on the Long Beach channel, but podcast host. So whether you are currently have a podcast or you just want to get into podcasting, hit us up. The email is info@RevBlackNetwork. In the subject line, make sure you put podcast host or content creator in the subject line, because remember, same email is for Nick and for everybody, so we don't want to get the emails mixed up here. So again, we're looking for podcast hosts to add some content to one of the RBN channels, and we have 5 channels if you count Sabby's channel, JB's channel, the RBN Long Beach, Rome and Nick have channels. They just haven't been posting on it. So podcast host, content creator wanted. And, you know, we're going to be wanting somebody who's available to do a regular show. You know, if it's, you know, every Sunday you're doing a show at, you know, I don't know, 6 p.m. Eastern on Sundays. Every Sunday you would be available, and then you would be able to do your show. So, yeah, if you are interested or you know somebody, please pass the word along. And now let's go to our outro video for us to get out of here, play a little bit of it. Make sure you stay tuned for Sabby and JB show that's coming up in about 20 minutes. I'll play about 2 minutes of this to end the show.
Prospective Green Party candidate Cornel West is calling out Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders for refusing to back him.
That second clip he was talking about Bernie Sanders being unwilling to tell the truth.